The whispers of old trees. Have you ever stood beneath a truly ancient tree, its branches reaching high, its bark rough with age? What if those trees could speak? Not with words we understand, but with a quiet hum, a deep memory of the seasons and centuries they've lived through. Here's the thing. History is a bit like that old tree. It holds secrets, not just in books, but in forgotten corners of time. Like wisdom whispered so softly it almost fades. For thousands of years, long before schools or libraries, people learned from the world around them. They watched the sun rise and set, saw how rivers carved the land, and understood the patience of a seed becoming a forest. Many of their deepest understandings, how to live well, how to treat each other, how to find peace, weren't written down. They were passed from parent to child, elder to community, like roots growing deep into the soil. But as societies changed, some of these gentle teachings got buried. They weren't destroyed, just covered over, like old stories tucked away in a forgotten attic. Think of it like an old family photo album. It sits on a shelf, maybe for years. It holds pictures, memories of laughter and quiet moments. Those memories are still there, even if no one is looking at the album right now. They just wait for someone to open the cover and remember. This can help you understand how these old teachings work. They are still part of our human story, waiting for us to notice them, to listen carefully. So, as we explore these buried teachings, imagine you are standing beside one of those old trees. Feel its quiet strength. Realize that sometimes, the most profound lessons aren't shouted from mountaintops. They are found in the softest whispers, in patient silence, waiting for us to feel their ancient presence and understand their calm wisdom. They are still here, just beneath the surface, if we only take the time to look and listen. Finding north. Maps before compasses. Have you ever wondered how people found their way long ago, before phones or even compasses existed? It feels impossible, right? But here's the thing, they did. They had a different kind of compass, one built not from metal and magnets, but from careful watching and deep understanding. Imagine walking through a vast, open landscape. The sun rises in one place, sets in another. The stars spin slowly in the night sky. Ancient people didn't have tools to tell them exactly where north was, but they paid close attention to these natural signs. They read the land, the flow of rivers, the way certain trees grew. Their maps weren't drawn on paper. Instead, they were woven into their memory, passed down in stories, and felt in their very bones. They simply knew the world around them, how it moved, and where everything sat in relation to everything else. Think about it like this. When you walk to a friend's house many times, after a while, you don't need to look at your phone for directions. You just know the way. You remember the big oak tree, the sharp turn at the corner, the smell of the bakery down the street. Your body learns the route, even when your mind isn't actively thinking about it. This is kind of like how early humans navigated. They weren't just following lines on a map. They were feeling the earth, listening to its subtle whispers. So, what does this tell us? Maybe that sometimes the most powerful tools aren't found in our hands, but in our connection to the world around us, and inside ourselves. Learning to find your own north, your true direction. Your purpose often means quieting the noise and truly listening to what the world and your own heart tells you. It's a journey into knowing, not just seeing. The quiet power of listening. Have you ever wondered if you truly listen, or do you just wait for your turn to speak? There's a big difference, you know. Hearing is something your ears do, like catching sounds in the air. But listening, that's what your heart and mind do together. It's about more than just sounds. It's about opening yourself up to another person's world, to their feelings, to the quiet wisdom all around you. Ancient thinkers, people from long ago, understood this deeply. Many wise traditions taught that real understanding doesn't come from talking a lot. Instead, it comes from being truly present, from taking things in. Think about how a still lake perfectly reflects the sky. It doesn't try to change the sky, it just receives it, clearly and fully. That's a bit like deep listening. It's about creating space inside yourself for what's being shared, without judgment or hurry. Here's the thing, listening is a quiet power. It's not loud or flashy. It's like how a scientist listens for faint echoes from far-off galaxies. They don't just hear noise, they listen for patterns, for meaning in the silence. Or think about when a friend is really upset. You don't need to fix everything right away. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is just be there, quiet, focused, really hearing their words and the feelings behind them. This can help you connect with others on a much deeper level. It helps you learn things you'd never discover if you were just thinking about your next reply. So, the quiet power of listening isn't just about being polite. It's about gaining wisdom, building real connections, and seeing the world with more understanding. It's a slow, gentle way to unlock deeper truths, both in others and in yourself. Why stars mattered more. Have you ever looked up at the night sky and truly wondered about the stars? Not just how pretty they are, but what they meant to people long, long ago. For us, stars are beautiful, sure, but mostly just faraway dots of light. But here's the thing, for ancient people, stars weren't just background noise, they were everything. Imagine a world with no clocks, no calendars, no GPS. How would you know what time it was? How would you know when to plant your crops, or when the seasons would change? How would you find your way across a vast ocean or a wide desert? The answer, for thousands of years, was the sky. The stars told them all of this. They were a living map and clock, always there, always reliable. Every culture, from the first humans to the great empires, read stories in those twinkling lights. They saw heroes, gods, and even their own destinies, written above. Think about how much you rely on your phone today. It tells you the time, helps you find places, connects you to news, and even reminds you what day it is. Now, picture if all that information, all that guidance, came directly from the patterns of the stars. It wasn't just practical, it was deeply spiritual. People felt a profound connection to the cosmos. They believed the stars held wisdom, guiding their lives and explaining their place in the universe. They built their temples to align with certain constellations. Their stories were woven into the night sky, and their very understanding of life and death came from observing the heavens. We don't live like that anymore. Streetlights dim the sky, and screens often take our focus. We've lost some of that direct, simple, yet powerful teaching the stars offered. It makes you wonder, what wisdom did they glean from that constant, silent watch that we might be missing today? Small talk, big ideas, lost conversations. Have you ever stopped to think about the quiet whispers, the everyday chats, the little talks that fill our lives? We talk to friends, family, even strangers. Most of these conversations seem small, not important enough to write down. But what if some of them, especially those from long, long ago, held deep wisdom that we've completely lost? For centuries, before books and widespread writing, how did people share their best ideas? They talked, they sat by fires, walked through fields, worked side by side. Imagine the stories told, the advice given, the insights shared. A lot of truly important knowledge wasn't carved in stone or written on scrolls. It was spoken, then remembered, then spoken again. Think of ancient teachers like Socrates. He didn't write books, he talked. He walked around Athens, asking questions, making people think. His profound ideas spread from person to person, passed on through the echoes of conversation. But how much of that original wisdom simply vanished when the words weren't recorded? It's a bit like when you're just joking around with a friend, and then suddenly, one of you says something really smart or true, something that just clicks. You might not write it down, but that feeling, that understanding, stays with you. Or consider how a new idea for a science project might start with a simple, casual question during lunch. That little spark, that initial thought, is often born in a passing conversation, not in a grand lecture. The exact words are forgotten, but the new idea, the seed of discovery, remains. So many small talks throughout history, so many quiet moments of insight, probably faded away like morning mist. We might never know the true depth of wisdom shared by a shepherd watching his flock, or by an artisan teaching an apprentice, or by parents comforting their children. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What quiet wisdom are we missing from the past, just because it was never shouted, never written, only whispered in a passing moment? It reminds us that every conversation, even the most ordinary ones, might hold a piece of something truly special, something worth remembering, something that connects us to an endless chain of human thought. The secret language of birds. Have you ever stopped to really listen to the birds outside your window? Not just hear them, but listen. For a long time, people believed that birds shared secret messages, a hidden language spoken between the rustling leaves and the open sky. It sounds like something from a fairy tale, right? But the idea isn't just about magic. It's about how much we miss when we don't pay close attention to the world around us. Ancient thinkers and poets often wrote about this secret language. They thought birds could tell us about the weather, or even warn us of danger. Some even believed birds carried whispers from other realms. It was a way for people to feel more connected to nature, to feel like the world held more secrets than met the eye. Think about it like this: when your best friend gives you a certain look across the cafeteria, you know exactly what it means, even without words. It's a shared understanding, a quick signal. Birds do something similar. A robin's sharp alarm call isn't just a sound. It's a message. Danger. A hawk is near. Its sweet song in the morning means something else entirely. We don't understand every chirp, but we know their calls have meaning. Here's the thing: while birds don't speak human words, their calls and songs are indeed a complex system of communication. Scientists today study bird calls to understand their warnings, their mating rituals, and how they tell each other where to find food. They've found distinct patterns, like a unique language for different situations. It's not a language like ours, with nouns and verbs, but it's a language of urgency, of joy, of connection, a symphony of signals. So, maybe it's less about a secret code we need to crack, and more about remembering to be present. Maybe the real secret language isn't hidden at all. It's just the quiet invitation to notice the living world, and how it speaks in its own beautiful ways, if only we take the time to truly hear. Living with less, an old way of being voiceover. Have you ever looked at your room, or even your backpack, and felt a bit overwhelmed by all the stuff inside it? Like there's just too much, and it weighs you down, even if you don't literally carry it. Here's the thing: for a long time, across different cultures, people thought that having less could actually make you feel richer. Not rich in money, but rich in peace, in freedom. It's a teaching buried deep in history, that living with less isn't about sacrificing, but about gaining something more valuable. It's about being truly present with what matters. Think about it like this: imagine your mind is a clear, calm lake. If you keep throwing things into it, worries about what you don't have, desires for new gadgets, envy over what others possess, that lake gets cluttered, the water gets murky, you can't see the bottom clearly anymore. But when you start to let go of those extra things, those constant desires for more, the lake begins to clear. The surface becomes still. You can see your own reflection more clearly, and the depths of your own thoughts. Many wise people, from ancient Greek thinkers to those living simple lives in nature, understood this. They found that true happiness wasn't found in collecting more things, but in needing fewer. They learned that the joy of a quiet moment, a clear thought, or a real connection with another person far outweighs the fleeting thrill of buying something new. That's why it matters today. When you choose to live with less, you're not just decluttering your physical space, you're decluttering your mind. You're making room for what truly brings you calm, focus, and a deep, quiet sense of contentment. It allows you to breathe, to think, to simply be more fully. It's a gentle whisper from the past, reminding us that sometimes less is where true abundance lies. When night was truly dark, have you ever wondered what true darkness feels like? When the sun goes down now, we just flick a switch, lights blaze, screens glow. But what if there was no switch? What if night was not just dim, but a thick, heavy blanket of black? For most of human history, that's what night was like. Imagine a world where shadows swallowed everything. No streetlights, no lamps in every window, no phone screens glowing under your covers. Just the moon, if it was out, and the distant, dizzying sparkle of countless stars. This deep darkness was a constant part of life for everyone. In that profound quiet, without the constant buzz of our world, human senses were different. Your ears listened harder. Your imagination worked overtime, turning small sounds into big mysteries. This wasn't just about not seeing. It changed how people thought, how they felt, and even how they dreamed. It shaped their fears and their comforts in ways we can hardly understand today. Think about it this way: when you're in a completely dark room, one you know well, you still bump into things, right? You use your hands. You move slowly. Now imagine that feeling, not just in your bedroom, but everywhere, all night long. That's how our ancestors lived every single night. They knew the world in a different way because of it. And here's the thing: in that true darkness, people found other kinds of light. They gathered around the glow of a fire, telling stories that felt more real than daylight. They looked up at the stars and saw patterns, gods, and destiny. feeling tiny but connected to something vast. Their understanding of the world wasn't always written down. Sometimes it was just whispered from generation to generation, under skies so dark they felt infinite. What wisdom, what quiet truths might have been born from those long, dark nights? What secrets did that deep darkness hold on to that we can barely imagine now under our bright, electric skies? The art of waiting, a forgotten skill. Have you ever thought about waiting, not as something annoying, but as a kind of art? Here's the thing, in our busy world, waiting often feels like wasted time. We want everything now. But buried in history, there's a quiet teaching that tells us waiting isn't just about doing nothing. It's an active skill, a powerful way of being. Long ago, people lived more closely with the rhythm of nature. They understood that a seed needs time to become a tree. A river can't be rushed. Ancient thinkers and wise elders knew that true growth, whether in a plant or a person, needs quiet patience. They valued the space between wanting something and getting it, seeing it as a time for understanding, for observation, for deep knowing. They taught that forcing things often breaks them, but gentle waiting allows them to ripen and strengthen. Think about a friendship. You don't just meet someone and become best friends overnight. It takes shared laughs, quiet moments, understanding, and a lot of time just being there. You can't rush trust. It's like waiting for fruit to sweeten on a branch. It happens slowly, naturally, with sunshine and rain. Or consider building a strong skill, like playing an instrument or mastering a sport. You practice and practice, and you wait for your muscles to learn, for your mind to connect. That waiting isn't empty. It's filled with silent growth. So maybe, the art of waiting is about letting life unfold. It's about a gentle trust that some things need their own time, their own seasons. It teaches us to breathe, to observe, to understand that the best things often arrive, not when we demand them, but when they are truly ready. And that, in itself, is a beautiful lesson. Making things last. The wisdom of repair ***, making things last. The wisdom of repair ***. Have you ever had something you truly loved, something that broke? Maybe a favorite toy, a worn book, or a special piece of clothing. What did you do? Did you toss it aside, or did you wonder if it could be saved? Here's the thing, for a long time, throwing things away wasn't the first choice. People understood something quiet and deep about mending. This isn't just about glue or thread. It's about the wisdom of repair. Our ancestors, and even our grandparents, knew that things were meant to last. A carefully woven basket, a sturdy tool, these were made to endure. If a part broke, you learned to fix it. This wasn't a chore. It was a quiet act of respect for the object and the effort put into making it. It showed patience, a skill passed down, honoring the very earth from which things came. Think about your favorite pair of sneakers, the ones that have seen countless adventures. They get scuffed, a lace frays, maybe even a small tear appears. When you choose to patch that tear instead of buying brand new ones, you're doing more than just saving money. You're giving those shoes a longer story. You're acknowledging the miles they've walked with you, the memories they hold. They become more than just shoes. They become a part of your journey, with each mend adding to their unique character. And that's why it matters. The wisdom of repair teaches us about resilience. It's about seeing value beyond just what's new and perfect. It's about understanding that everything, even ourselves, might fray or tear sometimes. But with patience, with care, and with a willingness to mend, we can keep going. Stronger, perhaps, and with a richer, deeper story to tell. It's a quiet teaching, often buried, but always ready to be rediscovered. Stories in the stones. What rocks remember? Have you ever held a smooth, heavy rock in your hand and just wondered, not about where it came from, but what it has felt? What stories are trapped inside it, quiet and unwritten? It sounds a bit strange, I know, but here's the thing. The world around us holds so much more memory than we often realize. Long before history was written in books or spoken in tales, it was carved into the very ground beneath our feet. Think about the oldest mountains worn smooth by wind and rain over thousands of years, or the deep, colorful layers of a canyon, each stripe a different age, a different story of our planet's past. These aren't just pretty views, they're like giant, silent books. Each crack, each line, each tiny fossil embedded deep within them is a word, a sentence, a whole chapter. They hold the echoes of ancient seas, of creatures long gone, of storms and sunlight that came before us. People in ancient times understood this. They built their great structures from stone, not just because it was strong, but because it felt eternal. They wanted their stories to last, to be absorbed by the earth itself. Imagine a single rock rolling down a riverbed for centuries. It gets polished and shaped, slowly, by every current, every bump against another stone. That rock carries the memory of countless journeys, even if it can't speak them. It's like how an old, beloved toy might feel different, smoother, warmer, because it soaked up years of play and comfort. So when we talk about teachings buried by history, sometimes those aren't just forgotten words. Sometimes they are feelings, lessons, or even just the raw experience of life that the very earth remembers. It's about a deep, quiet wisdom held within the world itself, waiting for us to slow down and simply feel its presence. And that's why it matters to really look at the world, not just glance. The stones are always telling their stories, if only we learn how to listen. The way of water. Lessons from rivers. Have you ever just watched a river flow? It seems so simple, but look closer. A river never truly stops. It moves forward, always finding a path, even when obstacles block it. It holds deep wisdom. People long ago, like thinkers in ancient China, talked about the way of water. They saw water as a great teacher. Water is soft, right? You can cup it, but it's also powerful enough to carve canyons over time. It doesn't fight a mountain, it flows around it. It doesn't crash against a rock, it moves over, under, or patiently wears it down. Think about your own life. Imagine a tough problem, like a school assignment or a friend issue. It feels like a wall. You could get angry or force a solution. But what if you thought like water? Instead of fighting, you might look for a way around. Maybe you'd try a different idea, or work on it a little each day, slowly making progress. Like water shaping a stone, you keep going. A river teaches us about quiet strength. It's about being flexible. It's about persistence, moving gently forward, even when things are hard. And it's about accepting change, knowing everything flows. Adapting can be the most powerful choice. We can find peace, realizing even big challenges can be met, not by force, but by finding our own calm, steady path. Finding your tribe, the old community spirit. Have you ever searched for a place where you truly belonged? It's a feeling we all know. Maybe it's not just a physical spot, but about people. The idea of finding your tribe isn't new. It's an old teaching, something we might have forgotten. Back in ancient times, humans lived in much smaller groups. Think about a village. Everyone knew each other. Everyone relied on each other. You had a role. You belonged. Maybe you were the storyteller, or the one who knew the plants. Your skills mattered. Your presence mattered. This wasn't just about survival. It was about feeling truly seen and truly needed. This deep connection was like the roots of a mighty tree. Each root helps the tree stand strong, even when winds blow hard. If one root is weak, the whole tree feels it. In the same way, each person in a community or a tribe makes the group stronger. They provide support, a sense of safety, and a shared purpose. Here's the thing. In our busy modern world, it's easy to feel isolated, even when you're surrounded by people. We have so many ways to connect online, but sometimes those don't feel as real as that old village spirit. This buried teaching reminds us that humans are built for connection. We thrive when we feel part of something bigger, something real. So, what does this mean for you now? Maybe it means looking for those people who truly get you, the ones who make you feel safe to be yourself. It's about building your own small, strong circles. It's about finding that quiet comfort, that deep belonging that our ancestors knew so well. It reminds us we are all looking for our own special place, our own people, our own tribe. And that's why it matters. How fire taught us everything. Have you ever just sat by a campfire, watching the flames dance and flicker? There's a quiet magic to it, isn't there? For thousands of years, long before we built cities or wrote books, fire was one of our greatest teachers. It taught our ancestors lessons that changed everything about being human. Imagine a world plunged into darkness and cold when the sun went down. Early humans lived with fear, huddling together against the chill and the shadows. Then, somehow, our ancestors learned to control fire. It was more than just heat. It was a shield against the night, keeping scary animals away. This simple discovery changed survival into something much more comfortable and secure. But here's the thing that really mattered. Fire transformed food. Before fire, tough raw meat and plants were hard to digest. Cooking made food softer, safer, and easier for our bodies to use. Think about trying to eat a raw potato versus a baked one, soft and easy to enjoy. So different, right? This seemingly small change meant our ancestors got more energy, and that energy helped our brains grow bigger and smarter. Fire showed us how to transform things, how to make them better, more useful, opening up new possibilities. And that's not all. Fire also brought people together. The warm glow became a natural gathering spot. Families and tribes sat around it, sharing stories, planning the next day, and passing down what they knew. The light pushed back the darkness, letting them work or talk long after the sun had set, encouraging deeper thought and invention. It wasn't just physical warmth, it was a kind of social warmth, building community and shared understanding. So, when you look at a flame, remember its ancient wisdom. It quietly taught us about safety, about preparing food, about gathering, and about the power of change. It was a silent master, shaping not just our tools and our meals, but also our very ability to connect, to think, and to dream. The lessons of fire are still burning, deep within our shared human story. The gift of silence, a lost place. Have you ever truly listened to silence? Not just quiet, but a deep quiet, where your own thoughts can breathe. In our busy world, this kind of silence feels like a forgotten treasure, a lost place. We're constantly surrounded by noise, notifications, music, even the hum of a computer. It's hard to find a moment where everything just stops. But long ago, many wise people saw silence as a powerful teacher. Think about ancient philosophers who sought quiet caves to think, or monks who spent years in silent meditation. They believed that when the world quieted down, our inner world could speak up. It wasn't about being lonely or bored. It was about creating space, a space for ideas to form, for feelings to be understood, for our own true voice to emerge from all the noise. They saw silence not as emptiness, but as a rich canvas for our thoughts. Here's the thing. Your brain works a lot like a computer. If you have too many tabs open, too many apps running, it slows down, it gets overwhelmed. Silence is like closing all those tabs. It gives your brain a chance to organize, process, and make sense of everything. Imagine trying to solve a tricky math problem while your friends are yelling and music is blasting. It's almost impossible, right? But in a quiet room, your mind can focus, connect the dots, and find the answer. That quiet room, that inner quiet, is the gift of silence, and that's why it matters. By rediscovering moments of true silence, even just for a few minutes a day, we can start to hear the whispers of our own wisdom. We can understand ourselves better, feel less stressed, and find a calm center within. It's a simple practice, but one that history suggests holds incredible power, a quiet power waiting for us to reclaim. Before screens, what eyes used to see? Have you ever thought about what our eyes used to see before screens filled every moment? Imagine a world without phones, TVs, or computers. For thousands of years, that was normal. People's eyes looked at truly different things every single day. When the sun rose, they saw the sky, colors changing. They watched clouds move, slow and quiet. They saw faces, really looking at them, tracing lines of age or joy. They saw patterns in wood, cracks in stone, how water flowed. Their eyes were trained on the real, physical world. This meant their attention stayed in one place much longer. They noticed small details. They had to. Their lives depended on observing closely, like animal tracks, or the subtle shift in weather. Think about watching a short video online, maybe 30 seconds. Your eyes jump around. Now, imagine watching a tiny ant carry a crumb across the sidewalk for 5 minutes, or staring at a single leaf on a tree, seeing every vein, every tiny tear. That kind of deep, focused seeing was what people did all the time. It wasn't just seeing an object. It was about noticing its texture, the light, the story within it. It was truly observing, not just glancing. So, when our ancestors looked at the world, maybe they weren't just seeing, maybe they were experiencing it in a way we rarely do now. There was a quietness in their seeing, a patient understanding. It makes you wonder what deeper meanings were clearer to them, simply because their eyes had nowhere else to go but the world itself. The kindness of strangers. Long ago rules. Have you ever thought about what it was like to travel long ago, when maps were few and roads were dangerous. Imagine journeys across vast, empty lands. Every new face could be a danger, or your only hope. For many people in ancient times, being kind to strangers wasn't just a nice choice. It was a deeply held teaching, sometimes even a rule for survival. Back then, there were no hotels or easy ways to get around. If you were a traveler, your life often depended on people you'd never met. So, communities created old customs. These customs said you must offer food, water, and shelter to a tired traveler. No questions asked. It was a sacred duty, a teaching passed down through generations. They knew one day, they or their loved ones might be the ones needing help far from home. This wasn't just about giving. It was about building a quiet network of trust, a deep understanding that we are all connected on this human journey. Think of it like the roots in a forest. Different trees, tall oaks and slender birches, look separate above ground, but under the soil, their roots intertwine. They share water and nutrients, helping each other stand strong. The forest thrives because of these unseen connections, these quiet acts of sharing among strangers. That hidden wisdom, that idea of shared need, is a teaching buried deep in history. It reminds us that how we treat others, even those we don't know, matters for everyone. A simple act of kindness, an open door, a shared meal, these were more than just friendly gestures. They were the quiet threads that held old societies together. They were promises whispered across the world, still echoing today. They show us how small acts of care can build something truly big, something that lasts. Reading the wind, ancient weather forecasts. Have you ever stopped to really look at the sky? Not just to see if it's sunny, but to try and understand what it's about to do. For thousands of years, people didn't have weather apps or satellite maps. They had to read the world around them like a book. They learned to forecast the weather just by listening to the wind, watching the clouds, or even observing how animals behaved. This wasn't just about guessing. It was a deep, quiet conversation with nature. Ancient cultures saw the patterns in everything. A certain type of cloud could mean rain was coming. The way the wind whispered through the trees might tell them about a storm miles away. It was a kind of wisdom passed down through generations. They weren't just predicting a shower. They were understanding the very pulse of the earth. Think of it like this. You know your best friend so well. You can tell how they're feeling just by the way they walk into a room, even before they say a word. You've learned their tiny signs, their subtle cues. It's not magic. It's just paying close attention over time. That's what ancient people did with the weather. They developed a deep sense of awareness, a connection to the subtle shifts in their environment. Here's the thing. We've lost some of that quiet attention today. We rely on screens to tell us what's outside. But what if we still had that skill, that deep knowing? Maybe the lesson here isn't just about predicting rain. It's about learning to truly see and listen to the world around us. It's about noticing the small, important details that speak volumes, even when we think nothing is being said. It reminds us that there's so much wisdom waiting to be found if we just slow down and pay attention. Hands-on wisdom, learning by doing. Have you ever tried to truly understand something just by reading about it? Maybe a complicated math problem, or how a vast machine works. And then, when you finally tried to do it yourself, did something truly click into place? It's a strange feeling, like the knowledge wasn't just in your head anymore, but in your hands, your muscles, even your heart. This feeling, this deeper understanding that comes from action, is what hands-on wisdom is all about. It's the idea that some of the most important lessons aren't found in a dusty book or a long lecture. Instead, they are waiting for us in the act of building, creating, fixing, or even just exploring. Think about how ancient cultures passed down skills. A young weaver didn't just read about cloth. They sat beside an elder, feeling the thread, learning the rhythm of the loom with their own fingers. A skilled hunter wasn't just told about tracking. They learned by walking the silent forest, observing, and feeling the shift of the wind. This was their school. They knew wisdom lived in the doing. It's like learning to ride a bicycle. You can watch videos, listen to advice, even memorize every part of the bike. But you don't truly learn until you push off, feel the wobbles, maybe fall a few times. Your body finds its balance, your mind learns courage, and your spirit gains a quiet confidence. That lesson isn't just a memory, it's woven into you, a part of how you move through the world. So maybe the deepest truths aren't just concepts we think about. Maybe they are experiences we live through. And sometimes, to really know something, to truly make it ours, we need to step away from the page and reach out, touch, build, and simply do. That's where the quiet, enduring wisdom often waits, ready to become a part of us. The rhythm of the seasons, a deeper dance. Do you ever think about the seasons, not just as different weather, but as something more? We see spring, summer, fall, and winter on the calendar. But long ago, people knew these changes were a much deeper dance, a kind of hidden teaching about life itself. Here's the thing. Ancient cultures didn't just notice the weather changing, they felt the rhythm of the earth in their bones. Farmers, hunters, and early thinkers saw that everything in nature followed a pattern. There was a time for planting, a time for growing, a time for harvesting, and then a time for rest. This wasn't just about farming. It was about understanding that everything, even our own lives, moves in cycles. Many old stories and wisdom traditions from around the world talk about this. They show us that life isn't a straight line, but a series of ups and downs, beginnings and endings. Think about your own day, or even a school year. You wake up with energy, feeling ready to start new things. That's kind of like spring. Then, you get busy with classes and activities, maybe like the full energy of summer. As the year goes on, you might start to wind down, reflecting on what you've learned, like the quiet of autumn. And then, there's a break, a time to rest and recharge. Just like winter. This isn't just a cycle for nature, it's also a helpful way to see your own life. When things feel tough or slow, like a long winter, remember that spring always returns. And when you're full of energy and new ideas, like summer, know that a time for reflection will come. Embracing this deeper rhythm helps us understand that every part of life, even the quiet or hard parts, has its purpose in the bigger dance. What dreams used to tell us? Have you ever woken up from a dream and felt like it meant something? Maybe it was a strange adventure, or a quiet conversation with someone you know. Today, we often think of dreams as just our brain sorting out the day, or even just weird stuff that happens when we sleep. But here's the thing. For a long time, people saw dreams very differently. Think about ancient times, long before science explained things like brainwaves. For cultures like the old Egyptians, the wise Greeks, or many Native American tribes, dreams weren't random at all. They were like special messages, sent from somewhere else. Sometimes, they believed these messages came from gods, or from ancestors. Other times, dreams were thought to be glimpses of the future, warnings, or even clues about how to heal. People would go to special places, or wise elders to help them understand what their dreams were saying. Dreams were maps, guides, quiet whispers meant to help them live better lives. Imagine you have a dream where you're trying to build something, but the pieces keep falling apart. Today, you might just shake your head and forget it. But in the past, someone might have seen that dream as a message. Maybe it meant you were trying to force something in your real life that wasn't ready, or that you needed to step back and find a new way to put things together. It wasn't about the dream literally showing you a puzzle. It was about the feeling, the problem, the gentle nudge it gave you for your waking challenges. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What if we've lost something by not listening to our dreams with such open hearts today? What if there's still a quiet wisdom in those nightly stories, waiting for us to pay attention, just like people did for thousands of years? Maybe, just maybe, our dreams are still trying to tell us something important, if only we remember how to listen. The healing touch of nature. Have you ever walked into a quiet forest, or sat by a peaceful lake, and felt a strange calm settle over you? It's almost like a breath you didn't know you needed to take. We often think of nature as just trees, water, and animals, but for a long time, people understood it as something much more, a healer, a teacher, a gentle hand. Imagine ancient communities, living close to the land. When their spirits were low, or minds felt cluttered, they turned to the earth itself. They believed the rustle of leaves, the flow of a river, the silence of a mountain peak could truly mend a person. It wasn't just about what nature gave them to eat, it was about what it gave their souls. Many old traditions spoke of how the earth held a quiet energy, a power that could bring balance. But as our world got busier, we started to forget this deep connection. It's like we buried a simple, yet powerful, truth. Think about a time you felt really stressed, maybe before a big test, and then you stepped outside. Maybe you just sat under a tree, or watched the clouds drift by. Here's what often happens. Your shoulders drop, your breathing slows down. The worries don't disappear, but they feel less heavy. That's the earth working its subtle magic. Even today, scientists are starting to see how time in green spaces can lower stress and boost our mood. It's not just a feeling. Our bodies actually respond to nature's calm. So, what if some answers we search for are waiting in quiet places? What if rediscovering the healing touch of nature is an ancient wisdom we urgently need to remember? It's a reminder that peace isn't always something we have to create. Sometimes, it's something the world outside offers freely, if we just slow down enough to receive it. And that's why it matters. Building strong, old ways to make homes. Have you ever stopped to think about what truly lasts? Not just a few years, but generations, even centuries. Sometimes, the oldest things around us, like ancient buildings, hold quiet lessons we've almost forgotten. Here's the thing. People long ago built their homes, not just to stand, but to become a part of the land itself. They didn't have huge factories or shipping routes for materials. Instead, they looked around. They used the stone from the nearby hills, the wood from their own forests, the earth right beneath their feet. This wasn't just about saving money, it was about wisdom. They understood the local weather, how the sun moved, where the strong winds blew. So, they built with the earth, not against it. Their houses breathed with the seasons, cool in summer, warm in winter, always feeling connected to their place. Think about building a strong friendship. You don't just meet someone once and become best friends. You spend time, you listen, you understand each other. Each shared laugh, each quiet moment, each time you're there for them, adds a little brick to that friendship. It grows slowly, honestly, using what's already there, shared interests, trust, kindness. And because it's built this way, it can stand up to disagreements or tough times, just like a well-made house stands against a storm. These old ways of building homes were about more than just sturdy walls. They were about respect for resources, patience in craftsmanship, and a deep understanding of the natural world. They taught us that strength doesn't always come from fancy new stuff, but often from knowing what you have and using it well. And that's why it matters today. It reminds us that anything built with true thought, care, and a connection to its roots truly endures. It shows us that what we create, whether it's a house or a life, can gain lasting strength by honoring where it comes from. The value of a good storyteller, what makes an old teaching, something from long ago, truly stick with you. It's not just the words, is it? It's how they're told. Think about it. A good storyteller isn't just someone who talks a lot. They're like a bridge. They connect what's abstract and far away to your heart, right now. They make distant ideas feel close, and ancient wisdom feel like it was just spoken. Imagine history without storytellers. We'd have dates, names, facts, numbers in a dusty book. But would we feel anything? Would we understand why those moments mattered? From ancient campfires where elders shared wisdom, to epic poems sung for generations, it was the storyteller who carried the light. They made bravery real, sorrow deep, and hope something you could almost touch. They didn't just pass on information, they wove tapestries of human experience. Consider a complicated idea, like how the human brain remembers things. A science textbook might give you terms like hippocampus and neural pathways. But a great teacher, a good storyteller, might say, imagine your brain is like a vast, dark library, and every time you learn something new, a tiny light flickers. On a good memory is like a path you've walked many times, easy to find in the dark. A storyteller's job is to light up those paths for you, making even the oldest wisdom feel like a new discovery. So, when we talk about teachings buried by history, we're really talking about stories that lost their voices. They became mere facts, like stars without their glow. A good storyteller brings back that light. They remind us that wisdom isn't just cold knowledge. It's a living flame, passed from one heart to another. And that's why they are so valuable. They don't just teach us, they help us feel, remember, and truly understand the echoes of the past. Seeing beauty in simple things. Have you ever stopped to really see something tiny? Something you usually walk right past, and felt a quiet kind of wonder? This teaching is about finding deep beauty and meaning, not in big, exciting events, but in the small, ordinary moments of life. It's like a secret hiding right out in the open. For thousands of years, people across different cultures have thought about this. Ancient thinkers, like those in old Greece, who were called Stoics, and wise people in Eastern traditions, believed true happiness wasn't about having a lot of money or power. Instead, it was about appreciating the simple things. They talked about finding joy in a sip of water, a quiet breath, or the way a flower slowly opens its petals. They understood that real peace came from just noticing the world as it truly is, even in its smallest parts. Think about the light streaming through your window on a quiet morning. It hits the tiny dust motes dancing in the air, making them sparkle like little stars, or it paints a warm, golden glow across your floor. It's just light, something we see every day without thinking much about it. But if you pause, just for a moment, and truly look at it, it can feel like a small, perfect work of art. It can make you feel calm, like everything is okay, and connected to something beautiful. This old teaching reminds us that life's deepest joys don't always shout. Sometimes they whisper, waiting for us to notice them in the everyday. When we learn to see these quiet wonders, our world opens up. We find more peace, more gratitude, and a deeper sense of being truly alive. And that's why it matters. It helps us carry a little more calm and wonder inside us, no matter what else is happening around us. The patience of a seed. Have you ever really thought about a seed? It's just a tiny thing, often barely noticeable. But inside that tiny shell, something incredible waits. It holds the complete blueprint for a towering tree, a vibrant flower, or a field of golden grain. All that potential, wrapped in quiet stillness. Ancient thinkers, from quiet monks living in mountains to wise farmers tending their fields, often spoke of seeds. They saw them as a powerful lesson, a profound teaching. They knew that true strength isn't always loud or fast. Sometimes, it's found in stillness, in a deep, quiet waiting. History, for all its grand, fast-moving stories of battles and revolutions, quietly holds on to this simple truth. It tells us that some of the greatest changes in the world began in the most humble of ways, far from any spotlight. Think of a small idea that grows into a movement, or a quiet act of kindness that changes a life. These are like seeds, unseen, but full of power. This wisdom of the seed shows up in our own lives too. Think about learning to play a musical instrument, or getting better at a sport. You don't just pick up a guitar and play a perfect song on day one. You practice, you make mistakes. You wait for your fingers to get used to the chords, or your muscles to remember the moves. Each practice session is like watering that tiny seed of skill. You might not see big changes every day. Sometimes, it feels like nothing is happening at all. But under the surface, deep down, the connections are forming. The roots are growing strong, even if you can't see them. A seed teaches us patience, not just as waiting, but as active waiting. It's about trusting the process, even when it's slow. It reminds us that some of the most important things in life, like wisdom, or deep friendships, or mastering a difficult skill, take time. They can't be rushed. They need quiet care, a bit of nurturing, and a steady belief that something beautiful is coming. So, when you feel impatient, or like things aren't moving fast enough in your own life, remember the seed. Remember that great strength often begins hidden, needing time and trust to fully bloom. It reminds us that even when we don't see immediate results, growth is happening. And that's a powerful, comforting thought for us all. Why we sang more. A lost joy. Have you ever thought about how much people used to sing? Not just performers, but everyone. It's a strange thought today, but for most of history, singing was as natural as talking. It wasn't about being good or famous, but expressing something deep inside. People sang while working, rocking babies, or walking. They sang to make chores lighter, to mark time, to remember. It was a way to share feelings words couldn't reach. Imagine a world before radios, headphones, or recorded songs. If you wanted music, you made it yourself, or with others. Families sang together around fires. Communities sang at gatherings. This wasn't a show. It was the everyday sound of life. It wove people together like threads in a tapestry. Each unique, imperfect voice added to a beautiful sound. Think about singing along to your favorite song in the car, windows down, not caring if you hit every note perfectly. That feeling of pure, unjudged joy, right? Now imagine that feeling, multiplied, because everyone around you is doing it too, in everyday life. When we stopped singing so much, and started listening to pre-made perfection, we traded being a participant for being just an observer. And here's the thing, that's simple. Everyday act of singing, of adding your voice to a chorus, held a quiet, powerful joy. It was a joy born of connection, shared breath, collective expression. Maybe, in gaining perfect sounds, we lost some of that raw, human harmony. We forgot how to simply be the music, instead of just hearing it. This lost joy reminds us happiness wasn't just found, it was sung into existence, together. The art of asking good questions. What if the biggest secret to understanding isn't finding all the answers, but learning how to ask the best questions? It sounds simple, right? But asking a truly good question is an art, a quiet power. It's not just asking what happened, it's digging deeper. It's asking, why did it happen that way? Or what if it had happened differently? A good question opens doors, instead of closing them with a quick answer. Think about the ancient Greek thinker, Socrates. He walked around, not giving long speeches, but just asking questions. He made people think hard about things they thought they already knew. He showed that sometimes, the answers we think we have are just beginnings. He taught that questioning what we believe, even the things everyone accepts, is the first step to knowing anything real. It's how minds truly awaken. Here's the thing. Good questions are like keys. Imagine you're trying to figure out why your phone battery dies so fast. You could just say, my phone's broken. But a good question would be, is it a specific app that drains it quickly? Or does it only happen when I use it for a long time? These questions lead you to check your settings, or notice your habits. They point you towards a real solution, not just a guess. It's about curiosity, yes, but also about courage. It takes courage to admit you don't know something, and even more courage to challenge ideas that everyone else just accepts. This might work for you. The best questions are often the ones that make you feel a little uncomfortable, because they push past easy answers, and that's why it matters. For centuries, hidden truths were waiting, not for someone to find an answer, but for someone brave enough to ask the right question. So, the next time you wonder about something, remember that the quiet act of asking, why, or how, can light up whole worlds of understanding, both inside yourself and around you. It's how history whispers its secrets, and how we truly begin to hear them. Being present, a lesson from the past. Have you ever found your mind wandering, even when your body is right here? Perhaps you're in class, but thinking about last weekend, or what's for dinner. Or maybe you're talking to a friend, but your thoughts are already planning your next move. This drifting feeling is common, but what if we could truly be here? This is the heart of being present. It means giving your full attention to this exact moment, not dwelling on the past, which is gone, and not worrying about the future, which hasn't happened yet. It's about noticing the sounds, feeling your feet, breathing in this very breath. Across different cultures and times, wise people understood the power of being present. Ancient philosophers, monks from distant mountains, and Native American elders, they all taught that true understanding and peace come from living fully in the now. They didn't have apps or busy schedules, yet they consciously chose to experience each moment deeply. Think about watching a favorite movie, or listening to a song you absolutely love. When you're really into it, your phone isn't calling, and your mind isn't making a to-do list. You're just absorbed, lost in the story or the music. The world outside fades. That feeling, that complete focus, is a glimpse of what it means to be truly present. This isn't some difficult trick. It's a gentle reminder from history, a quiet teaching that's always been there, just beneath the surface of our busy lives. Learning to be present can make your daily experiences richer, your connections deeper, and your inner world calmer. It's how you truly live, not just pass through each unfolding moment. The power of your own voice. Have you ever felt like your true thoughts, your honest feelings, were just quiet whispers inside you, too soft to be truly heard, maybe even by yourself? Sometimes, we believe our voice is only the sound we make when we speak, but it's actually so much more. It's the special way you see the world, the unique ideas only you can connect, the very specific music of your own being. Throughout history, countless voices have been silenced or buried. People often felt afraid to share their real thoughts, or were told their ideas didn't matter. But here's what history truly shows us. The biggest shifts, the deepest understandings, often began with one person's quiet, brave decision to share their truth. Think of ancient philosophers or poets who spoke of compassion or justice in new ways. Their words, sometimes dismissed back then, sparked ideas that changed societies, even hundreds of years later. Or how old teachings, once hidden away, finally saw the light because someone believed in them enough to bring them forward. Imagine a single drop of rain falling into a perfectly still pond. It might seem so small, almost invisible, but that one drop immediately creates rings, soft waves that spread out, touching the entire pond. Your voice works a bit like that. One original idea, one honest word you share, can send out those quiet ripples. It can inspire someone to think differently, make another person feel understood, or even connect people who felt completely alone. Maybe you share a new perspective in a group discussion, or write a story from your heart, or just tell a friend how you truly feel about something important. That one small act, born from your voice, can create surprising and large effects. So, here's the thing. Your voice isn't just for making noise or shouting loudest. It's for sharing your unique light with the world. It is a gift, a powerful tool for discovering who you are and for making a difference in others' lives. Don't let those valuable inner whispers stay buried, lost to fear. Let them breathe. Let them flow out into the world, because the world truly needs to hear what only you can say, and your voice might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. How old heroes defined bravery. What does it truly mean to be brave? We often picture old heroes as mighty warriors, clashing swords with dragons or leading armies. And yes, that takes courage. But here's the thing. For the wisest of the ancients, bravery was far deeper than just physical strength. It was about something inside. Imagine a hero, not just fighting a monster, but standing up for what was right when others were afraid to speak, or facing a long unknown journey, not knowing what dangers lay ahead, but choosing to go anyway. This kind of bravery wasn't about not being scared. It was about feeling that knot of fear in your stomach, that shake in your hands, and still taking the next step. It was about choosing honor, choosing truth, choosing to protect others, even when it meant risk. The old teachings say true bravery meant mastering your own spirit, not just your enemies. It was a battle fought within your own mind first. Think about trying something completely new, maybe an art class or a sport where you feel clumsy, or speaking up in class when you have a good idea, but you worry it might sound silly. That little voice of doubt, that flutter of nerves, that's fear. But when you pick up the paintbrush, or raise your hand despite that feeling, you're tapping into the very same kind of bravery the old heroes knew. It's about understanding fear and choosing to act anyway. So, the quiet lesson from long ago is this. Bravery isn't a loud roar, it's often a whisper. It's the strength to stay true to yourself, to keep going, even when you're scared. It's a choice we make, day by day, moment by moment, in the face of our own fears. And that, in its own way, is the most powerful kind of courage there is. The sun's daily lesson. Do you ever just stop and watch the sun? Not just a quick glance, but really feel its light on your face as the day begins. It shows up every single morning, without fail. It pours light and warmth over everything, good or bad, without judging. It doesn't ask for thanks, it just is. That steady, silent presence is a powerful teaching buried right in front of us. For thousands of years, people looked at the sun and learned from it. Ancient Egyptians, Greek thinkers, Native Americans, they all saw something deeper, not just a bright light, but a teacher. They saw how it gives life, keeps going even on cloudy days, and nourishes without question. It reminds us of a simple truth. Show up, be present, keep shining. Here's the thing. Think about a time you tried something really hard. Maybe practicing a sport, learning an instrument, or just being there for a friend. You didn't get a huge reward right away, and maybe you felt like giving up, but you kept showing up, little by little. That steady effort, that quiet presence, it's like the sun. It builds, warms things, even when you don't see the full effect right away. It's the constant, gentle work. The sun's daily lesson is about giving, about being consistent, and about how true light comes from within. It teaches us that our quiet kindness, our steady commitment, can be just as powerful as a loud cheer. So, what if we tried to be a little more like the sun today? Just showing up, giving our best, without always expecting something back. Imagine the warmth and growth we could create in our own small corner of the world. Remembering names, the old way of connection. Have you ever stopped to really think about a name? Not just the letters, but what it means to say someone's name, or to truly hear your own. In our busy world, names sometimes feel like simple labels, quick tags we use and forget. But long ago, remembering a name was a deeply powerful thing. It was a teaching buried beneath our modern ways. For ancient people, a name wasn't just a sound or a group of letters. It was like a piece of a person's soul, holding their whole history, their ancestors, their future. To truly know someone's name, and to say it out loud, meant you saw them. You recognized their journey, their family, their place in the world. It was a sign of respect, a bond created with care. Think about old stories or legends, where knowing a creature's secret name gave you power over it, or where a hero's name lived on for many generations. That's how much weight and meaning names used to carry. It's like when you're in a big crowd, maybe at a noisy school, assembly, or a concert, and suddenly you hear your own name called out. That small, quick feeling of recognition, that sense of being seen among so many others, that's a tiny echo of this old power of names. When someone remembers your name, especially someone you didn't expect to, it makes you feel important, like you truly exist to them. It builds a quiet kind of trust between people. Today, we have so many names around us, on screens, in contact lists. We type them, we scroll past them quickly. But what if we took a moment, just a quiet moment, to remember a name with more care, to let it settle in our minds, not just as a label, but as an open door to another person's unique story? The old way of connection teaches us that a name is a pathway. It's a simple, profound way to bridge the space between us, one human heart to another. Maybe by remembering names this way, we can start to feel a little more connected in a world that often feels very far apart. The earth as a teacher. Have you ever stopped to really think about the ground beneath your feet, or watched a river flow? It might seem simple, but here's the thing. Our planet, the earth itself, has always been one of our greatest teachers. Long before schools or even books, people looked to nature for wisdom. They saw lessons everywhere. By many ancient cultures and indigenous people believe the earth isn't just a place we live on. They see it as a living library, a wise elder. Every sunrise, every falling leaf, every crashing wave holds a teaching. It's not about memorizing facts, but about understanding deep truths about life, change, and how we fit in. Think about a single tree. It starts as a tiny seed, pushed into the soil. It grows slowly, reaching towards the light. It stands through sunny days and harsh storms. It loses its leaves in autumn, but trusts that spring will bring new life. This isn't just a tree. It shows us what resilience looks like. It teaches us patience, trusting cycles, and letting go of what no longer serves us, knowing new growth will come. And what about a forest? Trees don't just grow alone. They share nutrients through their roots, connecting underground in ways we're only just beginning to understand. This teaches us community, how helping each other makes everyone stronger. It shows us that even when things seem still, there's life, movement, connection happening just out of sight. So, the earth teaches us patience, like a rock smoothed by water. It shows us how everything changes, like the seasons turning. And it reminds us that we are part of something much bigger, a vast, interconnected web of life. We just need to quietly listen and learn. The gift of true friendship. Have you ever wondered what makes certain connections in your life feel like a quiet, strong anchor? What makes someone truly get you, even when you're not saying much? Here's the thing. Some bonds are more than just casual. They're a deep, beautiful teaching buried in plain sight. The gift of true friendship. Imagine a kind of relationship where two people genuinely care for each other's well-being, not just for what they can get, but for who the other person is. It's a space of trust, understanding, and unspoken support. It's where you can be your true self, messy bits and all, and still feel completely accepted. Ancient thinkers, like the Greek philosopher Aristotle, saw this kind of friendship as one of life's most precious virtues. He didn't mean just acquaintances, or people you have fun with. He spoke of a deeper bond, built on shared values and a mutual journey toward becoming better humans. For him, true friends were like mirrors, reflecting your best self, and also like guides, helping you through life's tangled paths. They believed such a bond wasn't common, but profoundly important for a full, good life. Think about a sturdy bridge. It connects to distant points, making travel safe and possible over rough waters or deep valleys. A true friend is a bit like that bridge. They help you cross tough times. They offer support when your own path feels shaky, or when you feel isolated, on an island of your own thoughts. They are there to celebrate your victories, big or small, and to quietly stand by you when things fall apart. Their presence makes the world feel a little less lonely. a little more understandable. So, true friendship isn't just about having someone to share a laugh with. It's about cultivating a bond that holds steady, a safe harbor for your heart and mind. It's a quiet strength that truly makes life richer, a teaching passed down through time about the power of human connection. Growing your own food, more than just eating. Have you ever really looked at a tiny seed? Just a speck, holding so much life inside. It's a quiet miracle, waiting. Growing your own food is about far more than just what ends up on your plate. It's about a deep, slow connection, a conversation with the earth. Long ago, people lived closer to the land. They didn't have endless grocery aisles. Every meal came from effort, from understanding seasons, from working with the soil. A single carrot wasn't just a vegetable. It was sunlight, rain, earth, and human care, woven together. This wasn't just farming, it was a quiet wisdom, a dance with nature. They knew how much went into each harvest. They honored the process, the slow unfolding of life. It's like building something with your own hands. Think about drawing a picture you love, or mastering a difficult song on an instrument. When you create something, when you pour your time and effort into it, the result feels different. It holds a piece of you. It's not just the thing itself, but the journey, the small struggles, the patience. That feeling of knowing you brought something into being makes it truly special. Growing food holds that same quiet power. You watch a tiny seed push through soil, reach for the sun, and become something real, something that feeds you. It teaches you about waiting, about the slow, steady rhythm of nature. It connects you to those who came before, who knew this simple truth, and that's why it matters. It reminds us we are part of something larger, a cycle of giving and receiving. It's a teaching buried deep, but one that still grows, if we only take the time to notice. The wisdom of the animals. Have you ever truly watched an animal? A squirrel burying its nut, or a bird carefully building a nest? Sometimes, when we think of wisdom, we imagine old books or wise people. But here's the thing. What if some of the deepest, oldest wisdom isn't found in human words at all? For a long time, humans understood this. We saw animals not just as creatures, but as silent teachers. They seemed to know things without needing school or textbooks. They lived by instinct, by a quiet, powerful knowledge passed down through generations, living in balance with the earth's rhythms. Ancient cultures, like many indigenous peoples, honored animals deeply. They learned from the bear's strength, the wolf's loyalty, the spider's patient weaving. They believed animals carried spirits and lessons, guiding how to live well. It wasn't about humans being smarter than animals. It was about being humble enough to learn their simple, powerful truths. Think about a group of geese flying in that famous V formation. They take turns leading the ones behind, get a helping hand from the air currents. This isn't complex math or strategy. It's natural cooperation, sharing the load, a simple system that helps everyone go further. It's kind of like when your study group helps each other understand a tough history lesson. You're not competing, you're working together, making the journey easier for everyone. So, maybe some wisdom buried by history wasn't written on scrolls. Maybe it was whispered by the wind through the trees, or seen in the calm, knowing eyes of an old owl. This forgotten teaching is a gentle reminder to look beyond ourselves, to listen to the quiet lessons the natural world offers daily. When you feel overwhelmed, sometimes just watching a cat nap in a sunbeam, or a dog enjoying a simple walk, can teach you about being present, about finding calm and joy in small things. It's about remembering we are part of a much larger, wiser family on this planet. Sharing what you have. An old rule. Have you ever noticed how giving something away can make you feel fuller, not emptier? It's a strange feeling, like the more you share, the more you have. It's not just about things you can touch, like candy or a pencil. It's about sharing parts of yourself, your time, your knowledge, even your quiet attention. Think about it. Many ancient cultures, long before big cities and social media, lived by a simple, powerful rule. When times were hard, if someone had plenty, they shared it, not out of obligation, but because it made the group stronger, making survival possible. This wasn't just a nice idea, it built trust and belonging. They understood their own well-being was tied to everyone else's. This deep understanding wasn't written down, it was learned by living side by side, watching, feeling, becoming a quiet, unwritten law. Here's the thing, this old rule still whispers to us today, even when we're busy with our own lives. Imagine you truly understand a tricky science concept, and a friend is really struggling with it. If you spend time explaining it, step by step, do you lose your own understanding? No. Often, explaining it strengthens your own grasp of the idea. You've given something valuable, your insight and time, but you haven't lost anything. Instead, you've strengthened a friendship and deepened your own learning. So, this idea of sharing what you have isn't just an act of kindness. It's a way of living that connects us, reminding us that our strengths, our quiet gifts, are meant to flow outwards. When we choose to share, we're not just helping someone else, we're also tending to a very old, very human part of ourselves. It's a soft echo from the past, reminding us that together, we are always more. The quiet strength of forgiveness. Have you ever held on to something so tightly that your hands started to hurt? Maybe it was a grudge, a feeling of unfairness that just wouldn't leave you alone. Here's the thing, sometimes, letting go of that feeling, even when someone has wronged you, is one of the bravest things you can do. This isn't about saying what happened was okay, it's about forgiveness, and it's a quiet strength that history has often whispered about. Many ancient thinkers, long before our time, understood this. They saw that holding on to anger or resentment was like carrying a heavy, invisible weight. It didn't harm the person who wronged you, it mostly just tired you out. Forgiveness, they taught, wasn't about forgetting the past or excusing bad behavior. Instead, it was a decision to free yourself from the pain of that past. It was about choosing peace for your own heart. Think of it like this. Imagine you have a beautiful, shiny metal object. If you let it sit out in the rain and don't clean it, rust can start to build up. That rust eats away at the metal, making it weak and dull. Holding on to anger and grudges is a lot like letting that emotional rust build up inside you. It weighs you down, and it stops you from shining. But choosing forgiveness, even when it's hard, is like carefully cleaning off that rust. It allows you to protect your inner strength, to move forward unburdened. So, this buried teaching reminds us that forgiveness isn't weakness. It's a powerful act of self-care. It's a choice to stop letting someone else's actions control your peace. It's a quiet, inner revolution that clears space for new growth, for light, for your own journey to unfold, without the heavy chains of yesterday. It's choosing freedom for yourself, not for anyone else. And that's why it matters. Learning from mistakes. No shame, just growth. Have you ever felt that little sting when you make a mistake, wishing you could just rewind time and undo it? That heavy feeling of regret is common. But here's the thing. What if those moments aren't really about shame at all? What if they're actually like hidden teachers, offering us some of the most important lessons? People have thought about this for a long time. Some of the oldest wisdom, the kind buried by history, suggests that true growth often sprouts from our missteps. Think about it like a tree. A tree doesn't grow perfectly straight. It might bend in the wind, lose a branch, but those struggles don't make it less of a tree. They shape it, make it stronger, give its trunk a unique story. This isn't a new idea. Philosophers from ancient Greece to spiritual leaders, they knew understanding doesn't come from always being right. It comes from trying, and sometimes from falling. The path to wisdom is often paved with broken attempts and revised plans. It's like a scientist in a lab. They don't just mix chemicals once and get the perfect solution. They try, and sometimes the experiment fizzes or turns the wrong color. But here's what happened. Each failure teaches them what not to do, helping them get closer to the right answer. That's how we figure things out, step by step. So, when you trip up, don't let shame be the final word. See it as a quiet whisper of truth, a gentle hand showing a better way. It's a chance to learn, to adjust, to grow stronger, piece by piece. There's no shame in not knowing everything. There's only growth in finding out more. Our mistakes aren't roadblocks. They are unique paths, making us who we are, leading to a deeper understanding. The magic of a handshake. Have you ever truly felt a handshake? Not just the quick hello, but one that connects deeply. It's such a simple thing. Two hands meeting for a moment. Yet, this common gesture holds a quiet power, a story woven through human history. It's one of the oldest ways we've said, silently, I trust you, or we are on common ground. Imagine ancient times, meeting a stranger on a lonely path. How would you show peace? You'd reach out, hand open, empty, no weapon. This act was a silent promise. I come in peace, born from a need for safety. This gesture grew. It became a way to seal agreements, making a promise stronger than any spoken word. When two people shook hands, it was a bond, an unspoken vow. This deep meaning still vibrates in each clasp. Think about the feeling. It's a physical connection, a small, quiet spark. You feel the warmth, the pressure, their texture. It's like two puzzle pieces clicking into place, or two musical notes finding harmony. For a second, in that brief touch, you're truly linked. Consider meeting someone new. That first handshake isn't just polite. It's a silent conversation. It's a tiny bridge being built, a moment of shared vulnerability and acceptance. Or think of shaking hands after a disagreement, a way to show that even after hard words, a path to understanding is open. It's a quiet forgiveness, a step towards moving on. So, next time your hand reaches out, pause, feel that moment. It's not just a simple gesture. It's a whisper from forgotten times, a deep human need to connect, to trust, to truly see another. It's a quiet magic we often forget, but one that still holds power in our open palms. Keeping promises, when words were gold, what if your spoken word, just a simple promise, was worth more than shiny coins or precious jewels? Imagine a world where people didn't need stacks of paper or complicated rules for trust to exist. This is what it meant when words were truly gold. For a long time in history, especially in smaller villages or among traveling groups, a person's word was everything. There were no big banks or written contracts for most folks. If you said you would do something, or if you promised to pay someone back, your reputation depended on it. Your place in the community, whether people would trade with you, or even if they'd share their harvest, all rested on your honesty. It was like an invisible bond, holding people together. If you broke your word, you broke trust, and that could leave you all alone. Think about it like this. Have you ever been part of a group project at school? When someone says they'll do their part, you count on it, right? If they don't follow through, the whole project struggles. And what happens to your trust in that person for the next project? It's harder to believe them. That feeling of disappointment, of something being let down, that's a small echo of what it felt like when words were gold. Every promise was like a tiny brick. You laid it down carefully, building a path of trust with others. So, when we choose our words, when we make a promise today, we are still holding a piece of that ancient gold. We hold the power to build trust, to show our quiet strength. And in doing so, we honor a deep, old teaching about how humans are meant to connect. The dance of giving and receiving. Have you ever stopped to wonder how everything in life seems to flow, like a quiet conversation between one thing and another? It's a bit like a gentle dance, this back and forth of giving and receiving. We often think about giving as an action, like handing someone a gift, and receiving as simply taking it. But it's much deeper than that, and it's happening all the time, everywhere around us. This isn't just about material things either. It's about energy, kindness, and even ideas. Think about ancient wisdom from long ago, like the teachings from old philosophers or the stories passed down in different cultures. Many of them taught that life thrives on balance. They saw that the world works best when things are exchanged freely, like breathing in and breathing out. One can't exist without the other, and both are equally important. Here's the thing, nature shows us this dance perfectly. Imagine a tree standing tall in the sunlight. It takes in carbon dioxide, the air we breathe out, and in return it gives us oxygen, the air we need to live. The tree receives, and then it gives. And we receive from the tree, and then we give back to it through our breath. It's a constant, silent exchange that keeps everything going. This isn't just a science lesson. It's a living example of how giving and receiving are woven together. So, what does this mean for us? It reminds us that every person, every moment, is part of this bigger flow. When we offer a helping hand, a kind word, or even just our attention, we are giving. And when we accept help, listen to a friend, or learn something new, we are receiving. Both sides of this dance make our world richer and more connected. It's a beautiful, ongoing rhythm that invites us to participate, making us feel more connected to everything around us. Beyond the clock, time's true meaning. We all know what time is, right? It's on our phones, counting down to class, or marking how long until the weekend. We see it in seconds, minutes, hours. But what if time is more than just numbers ticking by? What if its real meaning is something deeper, something we often miss? Think about it. For many cultures long ago, time wasn't just a straight line, always moving forward. It was a cycle, like the seasons or the moon. They felt time in the rhythm of nature, in planting and harvesting. Time was a feeling, a story, not just a measurement. They knew time could stretch or shrink, depending on how they lived. Here's the thing, we still feel this today. Imagine you're playing your favorite video game. An hour can vanish like a puff of smoke. But if you're sitting in a really boring class, that same hour can feel like forever, dragging on. The clock says 60 minutes, but your experience is totally different. This shows us that time isn't just external, it's also something inside, shaped by our feelings and focus. This might work for you. Remember moments when you were completely lost in something you loved. Maybe drawing or hiking or just hanging out with friends. In those moments, time kind of disappears. You aren't watching the clock, you are simply being. Perhaps the real teaching buried here is that time's truest meaning isn't found on a clock face. It's in the depth of our experiences, in the quality of the moments we live. Every second holds a chance to truly connect, to learn, to feel something real. So, maybe time isn't about how much we have, but how fully we live each precious moment we are given. And that's why it matters. The importance of rest. Think about this. When was the last time you truly stopped, not just sleeping, but really stopping everything, just for a moment? Our lives are full of noise, of tasks, of screens that constantly ask for our attention. It feels like we're always supposed to be on, always doing something. But imagine a teaching, lost for a while, that tells us this constant busyness isn't truly living. It tells us that rest isn't just about closing your eyes, it's about giving your mind and your heart a chance to catch up, to mend, to simply be. Think about people in the past. Long before phones and endless homework, they lived closer to the rhythm of nature. Farmers understood that even the earth needs its quiet time, lying fallow after harvest, letting the soil regain its strength. They saw how trees shed leaves in winter to gather energy for spring's burst. Many wise thinkers, across different cultures, taught that true clarity and new ideas often bloom not from pushing harder, but from pausing, from creating stillness where thoughts can settle like dust. Here's what I mean. Your brain is like a powerful computer. All day it's taking in huge amounts of information. What your teacher said, what your friends posted, the lyrics to that song. If you keep downloading without ever hitting pause or letting it process, it eventually gets slow, cluttered, even frozen. But when you step away, when you give it quiet time, your brain secretly works to sort everything out. It connects those new facts, files away memories, and lets the important stuff sink in. This isn't just about feeling less tired, it's how you actually learn better and think more clearly. So, rest isn't a sign of weakness or something only for when you're sick. It's a powerful and ancient wisdom. It's a deliberate choice to let your inner world breathe. It's in these quiet moments that you process experiences, find new solutions, and allow your truest self to emerge. Sometimes, the most important thing you can do is simply be still. That's when you connect with deeper understandings that history has been waiting for us to rediscover. The art of wandering, getting lost to find yourself. Have you ever felt a little bit like you needed to find something, but you weren't even sure what it was? Maybe a new idea, a different way to look at a problem, or even just a clearer sense of yourself. We often think we need a map for everything, a clear path to follow. But here's the thing. Sometimes, the most important discoveries happen when you let go of the map completely. This is what we call the art of wandering. It's not about being truly lost and scared. Instead, it's about choosing to explore without a strict plan. Think of it like taking a walk in a part of town you've never seen, just to see what's there. You're open to what you might find, even if it feels a little uncertain at first. For centuries, thinkers and adventurers have found wisdom this way. Ancient philosophers would walk and talk for hours, letting their thoughts drift as their bodies moved. They weren't rushing to an answer. They were allowing new ideas to surface. Here's how it works in daily life. Imagine you're trying to solve a really tough puzzle or figure out a complicated math problem. Sometimes, staring harder at it doesn't help. But if you take a break, maybe doodle, or just let your mind wander for a bit, suddenly, an idea pops up. Or, think about when you explore a new hobby. You might try different styles, make mistakes, and feel a little out of your depth. But through that process, you might discover a passion you never knew you had. That's the beauty of wandering, and that's why it matters. It's about being okay with not knowing exactly where you're going or what you'll find. It's about giving yourself space to drift, to wonder, and to stumble upon unexpected answers. When you allow yourself to get lost in this way, you often find a deeper part of yourself that was hidden beneath all the rules and plans. It teaches you to trust your own path, even when it's not perfectly clear. How old people understood grief. Have you ever wondered how people long ago felt about sadness, especially when someone they loved was gone? For us, grief can feel so heavy, like a private cloud. But for many ancient cultures, this deep feeling was understood differently. It wasn't something to hide or quickly get over. Here's the thing, they often saw grief not just as an ending, but as a deep, natural part of life's story. Imagine living very close to nature, where you saw seasons change, crops grow, die, then bloom again. Old communities lived by these rhythms. So, when a person died, it was sad, yes, but also seen as part of a bigger cycle, like winter giving way to spring. They believed the spirit moved on, but the connection, the love, stayed. Grief then wasn't a sign of weakness, but a powerful mark of love and respect for the one who had passed. It was a way to honor their memory, not to forget them. Think of it like this. When a tree loses its leaves in autumn, it looks bare, right? But the tree isn't dead. It's just preparing for what comes next. The leaves nourished the soil, and the tree itself will bud again in spring, stronger from winter. Old people understood that grief was a bit like that bare tree. The loss was real, deep, and felt by everyone. But it also fed the community, bringing people closer, making them remember the value of life and each other. So, here's what I found. They didn't try to rush through grief. Instead, they allowed it to flow, like a river changing course after a storm, but keeping moving. Grief wasn't a problem to be fixed, but a journey walked, often together, as a community. It was a living process, teaching them about love's lasting power. It shows us that sorrow can be just another way our hearts remember and even grow. Celebrating small victories. Have you ever felt like your biggest goals are just too far away? Like the finish line is so distant, it's hard to even start running. Here's the thing. History and our own minds teach us something important about staying strong. It's about celebrating tiny steps, the quiet wins, not just massive breakthroughs. Ancient thinkers, like the Stoics in Greece, talked about focusing on what you control. They knew life is a long road, full of challenges, but they also knew the importance of finding joy in small things. Building something huge, like a pyramid or a cathedral, wasn't done in one giant leap. It was stone by stone, day by day. Each completed layer, each arch, was a small victory. The journey became as important as the destination. Think about a scientist. They don't just wait for a Nobel Prize. They celebrate a clear experiment result, a successful observation, a question finally answered. Think about learning a new skill, like playing guitar or mastering a difficult skateboard trick. You don't pick it up overnight. Your fingers might fumble, or you might fall a lot. But then, you hit that one chord perfectly, or you land that simple jump without wobbling. That tiny moment, that's a victory. Your brain gives you a little burst of good feeling, a tiny bit of dopamine. It's like a quiet cheer inside your head. This helps you keep going. So, the small win isn't just about feeling good. It's fuel for the next step. So, as we look back at history and at our own lives, remember, the grand achievements we admire were built on countless small, unseen moments of effort. Don't wait for a grand celebration. Celebrate the little moments of effort, the small improvements, the tiny bit of bravery you show each day. Each small victory adds up, building the path forward, one quiet, strong step at a time. It's how we keep moving, learning, and growing, even when the path ahead seems long. The power of community feasts. Have you ever thought about why we gather to share food, especially for big celebrations, or when we want to feel close? It's much more than hunger we satisfy when we sit down together. For thousands of years, across all cultures, humans have understood a quiet, powerful truth. Eating together builds bridges between people. Imagine our ancestors, long ago, in a world that was often hard and uncertain. When they managed to hunt or harvest enough food, they didn't just eat alone. They brought everyone together for a feast. This wasn't just a meal, it was a profound act of trust. Sharing precious food meant you were truly part of the group, safe and valued within the tribe. These shared meals were how ancient communities stayed strong, how families honored each other, and how peace was often made between different groups who might have been enemies. It was a deep way of saying, we are in this together, and we choose to care for one another. Think about a time you shared a meal with people you care about, maybe a big holiday dinner with family, a birthday party with friends, or even pizza night after a long week. The food is important, yes, but what about the laughter that fills the air, the stories told, the quiet understanding shared, the feeling of warmth that spreads through the room? That's the real magic. It's like how tiny drops of water, each unique, come together to form a mighty, flowing river. Each person at the table is unique, but when we share a meal, we flow together, becoming something bigger and stronger, connected by simple acts of kindness and presence. This ancient teaching, often overlooked in our busy world, reminds us that the table is a sacred space. It's where differences can gently melt away, where understanding can grow, and where silent promises of care and belonging are made. Community feasts feed not just our bodies, but our spirits. They teach us that true strength comes from connection, from looking into someone's eyes across a plate and knowing you are part of something good and enduring. And that's why these gatherings, though seemingly simple, hold a profound power. They remind us how beautiful and necessary our shared humanity truly is, one meal at a time. Trusting your gut, an ancient compass. Have you ever just known something was right or wrong, deep down in your stomach, even when your brain hadn't quite caught up? That quiet nudge, that sudden certainty, is often called your gut feeling, or intuition. It's like a whisper from deep inside you, a quick understanding that skips the long thinking process. For thousands of years, people across the world have listened to this inner voice. Ancient philosophers in Greece, wise elders, in indigenous tribes, even warriors facing tough choices, they all spoke of trusting this inner knowing. They didn't see it as magic, but as a deep, natural intelligence. A kind of internal compass built right into us. Think about it. You might be walking home from school, and suddenly, for no clear reason, one street feels safer than another. Or maybe you're talking to someone new, and a quiet alarm bell goes off inside, telling you to be careful. These aren't just random thoughts. Your brain is actually picking up tiny clues, a shift in light, a tone of voice, a facial expression, too fast for you to consciously notice. It's like a super-speed computer running in the background, giving you a quick summary, warning, or all clear. Learning to trust this gut feeling is like learning to read an ancient map hidden inside you. It's not about ignoring facts or logic, but about adding another layer to your understanding. It's about recognizing that sometimes the oldest wisdom isn't found in books, but in the quiet, steady beat of your own intuition. It's a gift, waiting for you to simply listen, and let it gently guide you through the sometimes confusing pathways of life. The secret to inner calm. What if I told you there's a quiet place inside you, a place that stays still, even when everything else around you is rushing and loud? It's not about avoiding problems, it's about how you meet them. Inner calm isn't about everything being perfect outside. It's about finding a sense of peace within yourself, no matter what's happening. It's like a quiet pond on a windy day. The surface might be choppy, but deep down, the water is always still. Ancient thinkers, from the Stoics in old Greece to Buddhist monks, have talked about this for thousands of years. They didn't have cell phones or social media, but they knew what it felt like to be overwhelmed. They saw that our thoughts and feelings can be like a storm. And here's the thing, they found that we can choose how we react to that storm. They realized true strength isn't about controlling the world, but about managing our own minds. Think about a time you felt really stressed, maybe before a big test, or when there was a lot of drama with friends. Your heart might have raced, your mind spun. That's the outside storm. But imagine you could just take a deep breath, and remember that deep stillness inside you. It's like being in the eye of a hurricane. The edges are wild, but the center is strangely calm. Or, consider how a scientist might look at a complex problem. They don't panic, they observe, they break it down, calmly. That calm, focused attention, that's what we're talking about. It's about observing your own thoughts without getting swept away by them. So, this secret isn't a magic spell. It's a gentle practice. It's about noticing your breath, noticing your thoughts, and choosing not to get carried away by every strong feeling. It's about building a quiet sanctuary in your mind, a place you can always return to. And that's why it matters. Because When you find that calm, you can face anything with a little more grace, a little more wisdom. It's a quiet power, buried not by history, but often by our own busy minds. Repairing relationships, an old craft. Have you ever felt a knot in your stomach when a friendship got bumpy, or watched a connection you cared about start to fray? It's a common feeling, isn't it, when trust bends or words sting, and suddenly, a comfortable relationship feels distant. We often think of fixing things as just mending a broken object, but what about repairing the delicate threads that tie us to other people? Here's the thing, ancient wisdom knew this craft well. People across history understood that mending relationships isn't just a nice idea, it's necessary. A strong community, a strong family, even a strong self, depends on how well we repair what's broken between us. It's a skill passed down, almost forgotten, about seeing past the hurt to find connection again. Think about kintsugi, an old Japanese art. When a beautiful ceramic bowl breaks, they don't just throw it away. Instead, they carefully put the pieces back together, using gold lacquer. The cracks aren't hidden, they're made beautiful, highlighted with shimmering gold. The bowl becomes even more unique, holding the story of its breakage and repair. It's stronger in a different way. So here's what happened. Our relationships also gather cracks, maybe from a misunderstanding, a harsh word, or just quiet drifting apart. Repairing them isn't about pretending that damage never happened. It's about admitting the hurt, listening with an open heart, and then carefully, patiently, putting the pieces back with understanding and forgiveness. It's about creating something new that holds the history, but is now stronger and more deeply valued. It reminds us that even with imperfections, in our mended places, there's a special beauty and strength. Finding joy in the hard work. Have you ever worked really hard on something and just wanted to quit? It's easy to see hard work as just ... hard, like a big hill you have to climb, only thinking about getting to the top. But what if the climb itself, the pushing and striving, could hold its own kind of quiet joy? For a long time, thinkers have wondered about this. Ancient Greek thinkers believed a truly good, full life wasn't about avoiding challenges. Instead, it came from putting effort into things that mattered, using your strengths, and working through tough times. It wasn't about being happy every second, but finding meaning in the journey, even when hard. Growing your mind or body makes you feel more alive. Don't think about learning to ride a bike. At first, it's just falling and scraped knees. It's frustrating, but then, you push off, pedal, and suddenly, you're balancing. Not perfect, but you're moving. That feeling, that sense of accomplishment after all the falls, that's a small echo of what we're talking about. Or, imagine a long puzzle. Finding each piece can feel like a chore. But when the picture starts to form, when you see how it fits, there's quiet satisfaction, a spark of joy in the focused effort. You're not just getting to the end, you're making the end. So, here's the thing. Joy isn't always waiting at the finish line. It's not just a reward after the effort. Sometimes, it lives right there, inside the struggle, in the quiet focus, in the small steps forward. It's a deeper kind of happiness, found not in what you get, but in what you become through the work. History has whispered this teaching to us, over and over. The lost art of letter writing. Have you ever stopped to think about how people shared their hearts and minds, long before instant messages or even phone calls? It's a quiet question, but the answer leads us to something almost forgotten. The art of letter writing. This wasn't just about sending information. It was about crafting a piece of yourself, a physical bridge between two souls, separated by distance and time. Imagine a world where thoughts ripened slowly, like fruit on a tree. You couldn't just type a quick message, you had to sit down, perhaps with a quill and ink, or a simple pen, and let your feelings settle. You chose each word carefully, not just for what it said, but for how it felt, knowing it would travel for days, weeks, maybe even months. This wasn't just writing, it was an act of patience, a deep moment of connection. People poured their hopes, their sadness, their small joys into these pages. A letter wasn't just read, it was held, folded, unfolded, and often kept for a lifetime. Think about how a plant grows, slowly, day by day, adding a new leaf here, a little height there. Each part builds on the one before it. A letter was like that. It wasn't just one quick thought, but a careful collection of moments, feelings, and details, layered one upon another. When you received a letter, you weren't just getting words. You were receiving a piece of someone's living, breathing journey, shared across the miles. It carried the weight of their hand, the scent of their home, the very air they breathed, as they wrote. So, what have we perhaps lost in our world of instant connection? Maybe it's that deep sense of presence, that thoughtful pause. A letter taught patience and truly valued the message, making each word carry more meaning, more emotional weight. It reminds us that some of the most precious connections are not about speed, but about the beautiful, slow unfolding of care. Listening to your body. Ancient health tips. Have you ever thought about your body like a quiet friend, always trying to tell you something? Long ago, people believed our bodies were not just flesh and bones, but wise guides, full of hidden messages. They knew that feeling tired or having a stomachache wasn't just random. It was a whisper, a sign that something was out of balance. Think of it like your phone. When its battery gets low, it sends you a warning, right? A little red icon, a notification. If you ignore it, the phone just dies. Our bodies do the same thing. Maybe you feel a little tired every afternoon, or you get headaches when you don't drink enough water. These aren't just annoyances. They are like your body's low battery warning, or its check engine light. Ancient healers, from wise elders in Native American tribes to doctors in old China, spent their lives learning this language. They didn't just look for a quick fix, for a symptom. They looked for the story behind the symptom. They asked, what is the body trying to say? Is it hungry for rest, thirsty for clean water, craving fresh air, or quiet time away from noise? This old wisdom teaches us something really deep. It reminds us that we are part of nature, not separate from it. Our bodies have their own rhythms, like the tides or the changing seasons. By paying attention, by truly listening to the quiet signals within us, we can find a path back to feeling whole. It's not about being perfect, but about being present and kind to the amazing living thing that carries us through life. This practice, often forgotten, is a gentle way to care for the deepest parts of ourselves, just as those before us did. Why people built bridges, not walls, when faced with something new? What is our first instinct? To close ourselves off, or to reach out? For all of human history, people have had to make this choice. It seems sometimes we are quick to build walls, to separate ourselves from what feels different or unknown. But here's the thing, true progress, real understanding, has always come from building bridges. Instead, think about it. Early humans didn't thrive by staying in isolated caves. They met other groups, they shared knowledge of hunting, of plants, of fire. They traded tools and stories, and that's why it matters. A wall might keep some things out, but it also keeps everything in. It stops new ideas, new friendships, new ways of seeing the world from ever reaching you. A bridge, though, invites movement. It lets ideas flow, allows help to travel, and builds pathways to understanding. Consider a difficult challenge you might face, like a group project in school. If everyone tried to work completely alone, hiding their thoughts and materials, the project would probably fail. But when you connect, share ideas, and build on each other's strengths, that's when amazing things happen. You're building a bridge of understanding between your minds. That connection, even when it feels a little uncertain at first, lets you solve problems that no one could manage alone. So the deeper lesson isn't just about stone and steel. It's about the human heart. It's a quiet knowing that even when differences seem big, there's always more to gain by reaching out. There's a profound strength in connection, a quiet beauty in choosing to build a path to another, rather than shutting them away. That choice has shaped our world, and it still does, every single day. The freedom of not owning much. What if true freedom isn't found in getting more things, but in having less? We often think having lots of stuff means we're doing well, but sometimes our possessions can feel like heavy anchors. They demand our time, our energy, even our worry. If you own a big house, you worry about repairs. If you have many gadgets, you worry about breaking them or keeping them updated. This can feel like a quiet weight. Think about how people lived long ago. Many wise thinkers across different cultures talked about how simple living brings a deep kind of peace. People like the Stoics, ancient Greek philosophers, believed that being happy didn't depend on outside things. They focused on what was inside them, like their thoughts and actions. It's a teaching that whispers through history. Often the things that truly matter aren't things at all. Imagine you're packing for a trip. You can bring a huge suitcase, filled to the brim with everything you might need. Or you could pack a small backpack, with just the essentials. The person with the small backpack moves so much more freely, right? They don't worry about lugging heavy bags or losing precious items. They can focus on the adventure itself, on seeing new sights and meeting new people, unburdened. It's like that with our minds. When our lives are cluttered with too many things, our minds can feel cluttered too. We spend mental energy managing, wanting, or protecting our stuff. But when we choose to live with less, we make room. We create space in our minds and in our days. This quiet freedom lets us breathe. It means less stress about what we have and more focus on who we are becoming or what we can experience. It's a gentle reminder that happiness isn't always about adding, but sometimes, beautifully, about letting go. It's about finding richness in moments, in connections, in the quiet joy of simply being, unburdened by the weight of what we own. The wisdom of grandparents. Have you ever noticed how some people just seem to know things, not just facts, but a deep, quiet understanding of how life works? Think about your grandparents, or an older relative, or someone wise you admire. They often carry a wisdom not taught in schools. It's knowledge built over many years, through countless joyful and hard experiences. For centuries, long before libraries or the internet, elders were the living books of their communities. They remembered the best ways to plant crops, the stories of their ancestors, and how to navigate tough times. Their memories were history books, their advice guiding maps. This wasn't just information, it was wisdom forged in the fires of life itself. They understood human nature, the rhythm of seasons, and the unspoken rules of living together. This quiet knowledge was passed down through shared meals and listening to their stories. Think of it like an ancient tree. A young tree grows fast, reaching for the sun. But an old tree, with its gnarled trunk and deep roots, has weathered countless storms. It has seen many seasons. Its roots reach deep into the earth, drawing up nourishment from layers. A young tree hasn't touched. This old tree doesn't boast. It just stands, strong and steady, offering shade. Its strength isn't just about height, but about depth, about what it has endured and learned. So, here's the thing. Much of the wisdom buried by history isn't always lost in forgotten places. Sometimes, it's alive, right there in the eyes of an older person. It's in the patient way they tell a story, or the gentle quiet of their presence. They carry lessons about resilience, about simple joys, and what truly matters. Listening to them, really listening, connects us to a deep well of understanding no search engine can provide. It's a quiet gift, linking our present to a past rich with lived wisdom. Thinking for yourself, an old way of learning. Have you ever stopped to wonder how you truly learned something? Not just memorizing facts, but truly, deeply understanding it. Here's the thing. For a long time, thinking for yourself wasn't just an idea, it was how people found wisdom. It wasn't about someone else telling you what to believe. It was about a quiet journey, inside your own mind, to find what felt true. Imagine ancient thinkers in Greece or India, sitting and asking big questions. They didn't have textbooks with all the answers. Instead, they asked, debated, observed, and formed their own conclusions. They understood that knowledge wasn't just something to be collected, like stamps. It was something to be grown, like a seed in your own soil. This old way of learning was about the inner voice, the gentle push to look closer, to ask why and what if. Think about learning to ride a bike. No one can truly teach you by just reading a list of steps. You read about balance and pushing pedals, but you only truly learn by trying. You wobble, you fall, you get back up. And each time, your body figures out a little more, adjusting, sensing, that inner feeling, that aha moment when your mind connects the dots. That's what thinking for yourself feels like. It's when your own experience builds the path to understanding. This quiet, personal way of seeking truth, this deep kind of learning, it often gets lost in our busy world. We are given so much information, but the real magic happens when you pause, sift through it, and let your own thoughts gently shape what it means to you. It's about finding your own light and letting it shine on the world. It's a gentle reminder that some of the most important answers are waiting, not out there, but within you. The value of being alone sometimes. Have you ever wondered why some of the most powerful ideas, the most beautiful songs, or even the clearest thoughts seem to come to us when we're completely by ourselves? We live in a world where we're almost always connected, always talking, always scrolling. But here's the thing, sometimes the greatest treasures are found in quiet. Being alone isn't about being lonely. It's about finding a space inside yourself that is calm and clear. It's a chance to just be, without anyone else's thoughts or opinions buzzing in your ear. Think about many wise people throughout history, poets, thinkers, even scientists. They often sought out quiet places, far from the crowd, to truly think and create. It was in those moments of solitude that their biggest discoveries or deepest understandings came to light. They weren't just escaping, they were going inward. And here's how it works. Imagine your mind is like a phone battery. If it's always on, always running apps, always connected to Wi-Fi, it drains really fast. But if you sometimes put it on airplane mode, or even turn it off for a bit, it gets a chance to recharge. Your mind and your spirit are a lot like that. When you're alone, truly alone with your thoughts, your mind gets to sort things out. It processes everything you've seen and heard. It lets new ideas slowly bubble up from within you. This time, by yourself, this quiet space helps you figure out who you are and what you really believe. It lets you hear your own voice, not just the voices of others. And that's why it matters. Taking that time to be alone, even just for a little while each day, isn't about pulling away from the world. It's about building a stronger, clearer you, so you can connect with the world more truly when you do step back into it. It's a quiet strength, patiently grown. The courage to change your mind. Have you ever been absolutely sure about something, so certain in your mind, and then later, new information comes along and makes you question everything? It's a strange feeling, isn't it? That moment when your old belief bumps up against a new truth. Here's the thing, true strength isn't always about sticking to your guns, no matter what. Sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is change your mind. Think about it. For a long, long time, people believed the earth was flat. It was just how things were. Everyone agreed. But then, some brave thinkers dared to look at the stars, watch ships disappear over the horizon, and they started to wonder. It took immense courage to say, wait, what if we've been wrong all this time? What if the earth is round? That wasn't an easy idea to accept back then. People might have laughed, or even been angry, but those who were open to new evidence, who had the courage to shift their understanding, ultimately helped us see the world and the universe more clearly. It's like when you have a first impression of someone. Maybe you meet a new kid at school, and you think they're quiet, or maybe even a little unfriendly. You build a whole idea about them in your head, but then, you see them helping someone, or you hear them laugh, and you realize they're actually really kind and funny. It takes courage to say to yourself, my first idea about them was wrong, and that's okay. I can change my mind about who they are. Changing your mind isn't a sign of weakness. It's a sign of growth. It shows you're listening, learning, and letting new ideas make you smarter. It means you value truth more than just being right. And that, truly, is a powerful and very human thing to do. It opens up your world in ways you never expected. How old cultures talked about death. Have you ever stopped to wonder, really wonder, what people long, long ago believed about death? It's a quiet question, a big one. For us, sometimes it feels like a final ending, a door closing forever. But for many old cultures, it was often seen as something else entirely, a journey, a transformation, or even just another part of a bigger circle. Think about the ancient Egyptians. They spent years building grand tombs, not because they thought life just stopped, but because they believed the dead would continue their existence in another realm. They saw death as a passage, a river crossing to a new world. They put things their loved ones might need in that next place, tools, food, even games. It wasn't about saying goodbye forever, but more like preparing for a very long trip. Or consider many Native American cultures. They often spoke of life and death like the seasons. A tree loses its leaves in autumn, but that's not the end of the tree. It's part of its natural cycle. The leaves return in spring. This way of thinking saw death not as a sudden stop, but as a change in form, a turning point in an ongoing pattern. It's a bit like when water evaporates from a puddle on a sunny day. The water doesn't disappear from the world. It just changes. It becomes vapor, rises into the sky, forms clouds, and then, later, falls back as rain. The water is still there, just in a different form, a different part of its journey. Many old beliefs about death held a similar idea, that our essence, our spirit, might simply change its form or move to a different stage, rather than vanish completely. So, When we look back, we see that death wasn't always met with just sorrow or fear. Often, it was met with a deep, quiet understanding of cycles, of unfolding, and of the profound idea that perhaps nothing truly ends, but simply changes. It's a thought that can bring a strange kind of calm, a whisper of connection to everything that ever was and ever will be. The beauty of imperfection. Have you ever looked at something and wished it was absolutely perfect? A drawing without a single smudge, a song without one wrong note. We often think perfection is the goal, something to strive for. But here's the thing. Sometimes, what we see as imperfect is actually where the real beauty lies. Imagine an old teaching, maybe from ancient Japan, called kintsugi. It's the art of repairing broken pottery by joining the pieces back together with gold. Instead of hiding the cracks, the gold makes them stand out, celebrating the history of the object. The breaks aren't seen as failures, but as part of its story, making it even more unique and valuable. It teaches us that something broken can become even more beautiful, not despite its flaws, but because of them. Think about a favorite pair of shoes were new, they were perfect, right? But after a while, they get scuffs, maybe a faded spot. Those aren't flaws, they're memories. Each scuff mark tells a story of where you've been. It's the same with a tree in your backyard. Maybe one branch grows in a weird direction, or its bark is rough. That's what makes that tree special, different from every other. It's what gives it character. Our lives are a lot like that. We make mistakes, we stumble, we have scars, both inside and out. These aren't things to be ashamed of or hidden away. They are parts of our personal kintsugi. Each challenge we face, each lesson we learn from getting something wrong, adds to who we are. It shapes us, making us more real, more interesting, and stronger. So, instead of chasing a perfect, impossible dream, maybe we can find peace in accepting our own beautiful, imperfect selves and the world around us. And that's why it matters, because true beauty often shines brightest through the cracks. Sharing your skills, the old economy. Have you ever stopped to think about how people lived, really lived, a very long time ago? Before money, before banks, before the world we know now. What did they do to get what they needed? It's a quiet question, but the answer holds a deep truth. Back then, your most valuable possession wasn't gold or land. It was what you could do, your skill, your unique ability to make, to mend, to grow, or to share. This was the old economy, a buried teaching. It wasn't about buying and selling. In the way we understand it, it was about contribution. Imagine a small village nestled by a river. Someone might be exceptionally good at weaving strong baskets from reeds. Another person might know just where to find the sweetest berries, or how to hunt silently. Someone else could shape clay into pots that held water without leaking. Each person had a gift, a useful talent. And here's the thing, they didn't just keep these skills to themselves, they shared them. The basket weaver would trade a new basket for some of the hunter's fresh catch. The potter might offer jars for the berry picker's bounty. It wasn't a cold transaction. It was a dance of giving and receiving, a constant flow of human ingenuity. Your skill wasn't just a way to survive. It was how you belonged. It was how you showed up for your community. It made you part of something bigger. Think about a healthy forest. The tall trees offer shade. The smaller plants grow in that shade, and their roots hold the soil. The insects pollinate the flowers. Every single part contributes to the whole, making the forest strong and alive. In the old economy, people were like that. They were living, breathing parts of their community, each offering their unique ability. Their worth wasn't measured in coins, but in the essential way they helped everyone else thrive. And that's why it matters. It reminds us that our true value might just lie in what we can offer the world, not just what we can get from it. The quiet power of being thankful. Have you ever really noticed a tiny moment that felt huge? Like the warmth of the sun on your face, or the sound of rain tapping at your window. What if feeling truly content wasn't about getting more things, but about truly seeing what you already have? Here's the thing about thankfulness, about gratitude. It's not just a polite word. It's a deep way of seeing the world. It's a quiet power that can shift how you feel inside, almost like magic. Thinkers from ancient times understood this. Philosophers in ancient Rome, like the Stoics, and wise teachers in places like India, spoke about the deep value of appreciating what you have. They weren't just being nice. They saw it as a path to inner peace, a way to build a stronger mind. They taught that true wealth wasn't in piles of gold, but in a heart that felt full and aware. Here's how it works, even for your brain. Imagine your mind is a garden. If you keep looking for weeds and focusing on what's wrong, that's what you'll find, and those feelings will grow. But if you purposely look for the good things, the taste of your favorite food, the laughter of a friend, the comfort of your bed, your brain starts to seek out more of those good things. It's like you're training it, building a mental muscle. The more you use that muscle of thankfulness, the stronger it gets, and the more easily you notice the beauty around you. This isn't about ignoring tough stuff or pretending everything is perfect, but here's what it does. It gives you a quiet strength. It reminds you that even when clouds gather, there's still light somewhere, waiting to break through. Being thankful means carrying a small, warm light inside you, a light that helps you see your way. It's a gentle whisper that tells you, even now, there is enough goodness to find. Finding purpose in daily chores. Have you ever looked at a pile of laundry or a sink full of dishes and just felt tired, or maybe even a little annoyed? It's easy to see these everyday tasks as just chores, as things we have to do, not things that hold any real meaning. But what if we've been missing something important? What if these small, repeated actions, the ones we often rush through, actually hold a quiet, hidden power? Think about wise people from long ago who spent their lives trying to understand how to live well. Many of them taught that even the simplest acts can be sacred if we approach them with the right mindset. They believed that how you do anything is how you do everything. So, making your bed perfectly, even when no one else will see it, isn't just about a tidy room. It's about setting an intention for your day. It's about bringing a sense of order to your small corner of the world before life gets messy. It's a quiet promise to yourself, a way to say, I am ready, or consider washing dishes. When you focus on the warm water, the feel of the soap, the way the light catches the clean surface of the plate, you're not just cleaning, you're actually practicing mindfulness. This can help you slow down. It's a moment where you are fully present, not thinking about yesterday or tomorrow. It's like a tiny, daily meditation that clears your head. Psychologists even talk about flow states, where you get so absorbed in a task that time seems to disappear. That feeling of deep focus can happen anywhere, even doing chores. It's not about the task itself, but how much of you bring to it, how much attention and care you give. So, the next time you're faced with a chore, try seeing it differently. It's not just a thing to get done. It's a chance to practice being present, to create order, to show care for your space and yourself. These small acts can build up, like tiny stepping stones, shaping not just your environment, but your inner world too, and that's why it matters. You are turning mundane moments into something more, something that helps you grow. You are finding purpose in the quiet hum of everyday life. The old map to happiness. Have you ever felt like happiness is a treasure, hidden away, and you just wish someone had drawn you a map to find it? It's a feeling we all share sometimes, that search for joy and peace. Here's the thing, a long time ago, people felt the same way, and in their own quiet wisdom, they actually did try to draw maps to happiness, not on paper, but in the way they thought about life. These old maps weren't about finding gold or faraway lands. They were about looking inside yourself. Thinkers, from ancient Greece to old China, from dusty scrolls to quiet mountaintops, they watched how people lived. They saw that chasing endless more stuff, more fame, more power, often left people feeling empty. So, they started to wonder, what really brings lasting happiness? They found it wasn't about what you get, but what you do and how you think. Imagine you're trying to build a really strong tree house. You could try to pile up a bunch of cool decorations and shiny objects on flimsy branches, but it wouldn't last. The old map to happiness is like understanding you need a solid foundation first, strong supports, a good design, and a safe place. Those ancient thinkers taught that inner peace, kindness to others, and understanding what you truly need versus what you just want are those strong foundations. It's like how a scientist learns that a plant grows best with the right soil and light, not just more water. Happiness, they realized, also has its own natural conditions. This old map whispers that true contentment isn't found in a frantic search outside yourself. It's often found in the simple act of noticing the good around you, being kind, and making peace with what you have. It reminds us that some of the most precious things in life are the ones we can't buy, and that the path to a joyful heart might be much closer than we think. The art of simple celebration. The art of simple celebration. Have you ever noticed how we often wait for huge moments to feel joy? A birthday, a big holiday, or finishing a tough test. We focus so much on those grand events that the quiet, gentle magic of everyday life can just slip by. Here's the thing, ancient wisdom, from many places, often talked about simple celebration. This isn't about big parties every day. It's about learning to notice and appreciate the small, ordinary moments in our lives. Think of it as a quiet thank you for tiny gifts. Philosophers long ago saw true happiness not in huge wins, but in calm, everyday discoveries. They believed noticing these small good things could gently shift our outlook. Imagine this. You've been working on a really tricky puzzle. You've tried pieces, gotten a little stuck. Then, suddenly, a piece just clicks into place. It's not the whole puzzle done, not a huge win, but in that second, there's a satisfying feeling, a tiny spark of success. That click, that's a moment for simple celebration. Maybe it's how light dances on dust in the air, or the perfect sip of cold water on a hot day, or hearing a bird sing when you feel a little down. It's about letting a quiet sense of wonder settle in. This kind of celebration changes how we see our days. It helps us find beauty not just in big moments, but in the gentle hum of everyday existence. When we do that, life stops feeling like a long wait for big things. It starts feeling like a constant flow of tiny, precious gifts. It's a way to fill your inner world with quiet, steady light. What the wind carries. Old messages. Have you ever wondered what silent stories the wind might carry? Not just the rustle of leaves or the scent of rain, but echoes of thoughts, of wisdom, from times long, long ago. Think about it. For thousands of years, people have lived on this same earth. They've looked up at the same stars, felt the same sun, and wondered about the same big questions we do today. But here's the thing. Much of what they learned, how they understood the world, got lost, like ancient voices that faded into the hum of busy modern life. These are the old messages, teachings about kindness, courage, how to live in peace with nature, or even just how to be truly happy. These weren't always written in books. Sometimes they were shared through stories, songs, or simply a way of living that got passed down. Imagine finding an old, dusty notebook in your grandma's attic. It's filled with drawings and thoughts from when she was your age. You read it, and suddenly, you understand her a little better. You learn something new about life through her eyes. From her time, that notebook is like one of these old messages. It carries a piece of the past, waiting for someone to discover it and feel its quiet power. Throughout history, big changes happened. Wars, new ways of thinking, new ways of doing things. And sometimes, in all that change, valuable lessons from earlier times got pushed aside or forgotten entirely. It wasn't always intentional. It was just how life unfolded. But the wisdom, the deep understanding of human nature, or the world around us, it doesn't just vanish. It lingers, like a faint melody on the breeze. So, when we talk about 100 teachings, buried by history, we're talking about trying to listen closely. We're looking for those old messages, those gentle whispers of truth, that the wind has been carrying for ages. They might not give us all the answers, but they can remind us of things we might have forgotten about, what truly matters. They can help us connect to a deeper, older wisdom, making our own lives richer. It's about feeling the quiet echoes of humanity's long journey. The strength of vulnerability. Have you ever thought about what true strength really looks like? We often picture it as being tough, never showing fear, or always having answers. But what if real strength, the kind that helps us grow and connect, comes from a different place? What if it comes from letting our guard down, from being open and honest, even when it feels a little scary? This is what we call vulnerability. It's not about being weak, it's about choosing to show up as you are, messy bits and all. For a long time, across many cultures, and in the words of old philosophers, there's been a quiet teaching. It suggests that pretending to be perfect or hiding our true feelings actually builds walls around us. Think about a time when someone shared something personal with you, maybe a fear or a mistake they made. Didn't that moment create a stronger bond? It showed courage, not weakness. They risked being seen fully, and that act built trust. Imagine a small, tender seedling pushing up through cracked pavement. It seems so fragile, so easily broken, but its very softness, its willingness to push against a hard world, is its strength. It doesn't put on armor, it just grows, reaching for light. In our own lives, vulnerability is like that seedling. When we admit we're struggling, or say, I don't know, or I need help, it feels risky. We might worry what others will think, but here's the thing. It often opens the door for real understanding and support. It lets others see our human side, and makes it possible for them to truly connect. So, maybe the strength isn't in hiding our tender parts. Maybe it's in carefully showing them. When we are vulnerable, we allow ourselves to be truly known, not just by others, but by ourselves. And in that knowing, a quiet power begins to bloom. It helps us build stronger bridges, not higher walls, and it teaches us to be brave in a whole new way. Respecting elders, a core teaching. Have you ever really looked at an old person? Not just their age, but wondered about the stories in their eyes, the lessons etched onto their hands. It's easy to rush through life, caught up in what's new, but tucked away, like hidden treasures, is a teaching as old as humanity. The deep importance of respecting elders. Think of elders as living archives. Each wrinkle, every gray hair, is like a page in a book, filled with experiences, triumphs, and heartbreaks. For thousands of years, long before schools and libraries, older people were the keepers of knowledge. They passed down traditions, how to farm, how to heal. Many ancient cultures, like Native American tribes, understood this deeply. They didn't just listen, they relied on them for survival. Their wisdom was the compass. It's a bit like building a strong bridge. You need solid foundations, right? The older weathered stones at the bottom are crucial. They've borne the weight of time and seen many floods. Without those strong, tested parts, new sections won't hold up. Our elders are those foundational stones for society. They've navigated storms we can only imagine. Their quiet insights are built on decades of living and learning. So, when we listen to an elder, when we show them kindness and patience, we're not just being polite. We're connecting to something vast and powerful. We're tapping into a deep well of wisdom, passed down through generations. It's a way of honoring the path that brought us here. And in doing so, we learn how to build a better path for those who come after us. It reminds us that we are all part of a long river, and every generation plays its vital part. Acknowledging their journey helps us find our own way forward. The wisdom of children, often forgotten. Have you ever stopped to wonder if the youngest among us, the children, might actually hold some of the oldest, most powerful truths? Here's the thing. As we grow up, the world often teaches us to think in complicated ways. We learn rules, we see problems, and sometimes we forget how to see things simply. But what if that simple way of seeing is exactly where real wisdom hides? Think about it. Many ancient cultures, like some indigenous tribes or early Greek philosophers, didn't always see children as just small, unfinished adults. Instead, they sometimes viewed them as closer to the natural world, or to a pure, untainted understanding. They believed children hadn't yet been burdened by society's heavy expectations or complex worries. Their eyes saw things as they truly were, without layers of judgment or fear, and that's why their perspective was sometimes held in high regard. Imagine a small child dropped into a new situation. They don't first think about what's expected or what others might say. They just observe, explore, and react with pure curiosity. It's like a scientist looking at a new sample under a microscope for the very first time. They aren't trying to prove a theory. They're just observing what's there, wide open to whatever they find. An adult, on the other hand, might immediately try to categorize it, to label it, or to find its purpose, sometimes missing the simple, obvious details in the rush to understand. So, maybe some of history's deepest teachings aren't just buried in old books or grand philosophies. Maybe some are tucked away in the everyday wonder of a child, in their direct questions, their fearless imagination, and their ability to find joy in the smallest things. Perhaps learning to remember what they know is a way to find a peace we often lose as we grow older. How old worlds balanced work and play. Do you ever wonder if people long ago felt the same push and pull we do, always rushing from one task to the next? We talk a lot about work-life balance today, but what about the worlds that came before us? How did they see it? Here's the thing. Many ancient cultures didn't really split life into separate boxes. They saw work and play, effort and rest, as part of the same natural flow. Think about a river. It flows fast in some places, rushing over rocks. Then it widens and slows, becoming still and deep. Both are the river. Ancient people, deeply connected to nature's rhythms, understood this. Their lives were tied to the sun, the seasons, the planting, and the harvest. There were times of hard work, building, hunting, farming, but these times were often followed by periods of celebration, storytelling, or quiet reflection. These weren't just breaks from work, they were essential parts of life. The rest made the work meaningful, and the work made the rest feel earned. Consider breathing. You breathe in, then you breathe out. You can't just keep breathing in. Both are necessary for life. It's a natural rhythm. Just like that, old worlds understood that human energy has its own natural rhythm. You put effort in, then you need time to recover, to create, to simply be. It was about finding a natural beat, not a strict schedule. And so, perhaps these buried teachings remind us of something quiet and true. Life isn't always about doing more or getting ahead. Sometimes, the deepest wisdom is in recognizing the quiet spaces, the moments of calm, and the simple joy that comes from being truly present. Whether you're working or resting, it's about flowing with life, not fighting it. The power of a shared meal. What really happens when people share a meal? It's more than just eating. When we gather around a table, or even on the floor, and share what we have, something shifts. Walls that might be up between us start to come down. It's a very old human ritual, one that stretches back thousands of years. Imagine ancient people, maybe hunter-gatherers, coming together after a long day. They'd share the day's catch or gathered plants. This wasn't just about survival, it was about trust. It built their community, making them feel like a team. In many cultures throughout history, sharing food has been a sign of peace, a way to make agreements or to welcome strangers. When enemies broke bread together, it meant they were willing to set aside their differences, at least for a little. While this can help you see how deep this simple act truly goes, here's the thing. Think about sharing a pizza with a new friend, or a big family dinner. When you sit down, talking, laughing, passing dishes, the meal itself becomes a kind of language. You're not just eating, you're connecting. It's like a quiet understanding settles over everyone. It reminds us that we're all part of something bigger, a shared human experience. Our brains even release chemicals that make us feel closer to others when we share food. It's a real, physical bond-forming dot. So, this simple act of sharing a meal, a teaching almost too obvious to notice, holds a profound truth. It's about more than just hunger. It's about building bridges between hearts, finding common ground, and remembering our shared humanity. It teaches us that even in a world that often feels divided, the table can still be a place where understanding begins. And that's why it matters. It reminds us of a quiet power we all carry, simply by offering a plate. Learning from silence, not just words. Where does real understanding come from? We hear so many words every day in class, on our phones, from friends. But what if the deepest lessons aren't spoken? What if they live in quiet moments, in the space between thoughts, in the world's soft hum? Ancient thinkers knew this. Philosophers sat in quiet gardens, and monks meditated in silent temples. They weren't just avoiding noise, they were listening for something deeper. They believed silence wasn't empty. It was full of possibilities, a canvas where new ideas could gently form. It was a space to hear quiet truths, often drowned out by daily chatter. Our world is so loud now, but like a song needs notes and rests. To make beautiful music, our minds need quiet to make sense of things. Imagine a tough math problem. You read the question, then pause. Just think. Let the numbers settle. That quiet pause isn't doing nothing. It's when your brain connects the dots, when understanding clicks. Think about a friend. Sometimes, the best moments aren't talking, but just being quiet together. Maybe you're watching a movie, or walking, not needing to fill the air. In those silences, a different connection grows. It's built on trust, on simply being there. It's about feeling, not just hearing. So, learning from silence is a skill. It means slowing down and tuning in to what's not obvious. It's about listening with your whole self, your eyes, your feelings, your quiet mind. This is how you discover hidden truths, not just from others, but from deep inside yourself, and from the quiet wisdom of the world around you. And that's a teaching history often buries under all its loud stories. The path of less resistance. Ancient flow. Have you ever just let something happen? Like feeling a calm current pull you along, instead of fighting it? Rivers know this feeling well. They teach us about something ancient. The path of less resistance. This isn't about being lazy or giving up. It's about understanding that energy, water, and even our own actions often choose the easiest, most natural way to move. Think of a tiny stream beginning high in the mountains. It doesn't push against boulders or climb steep cliffs. It simply finds every dip, every crack, every gentle slope to flow downwards. It chooses the path of least effort, and in doing so, becomes a powerful river. Ancient thinkers, watching nature for centuries, saw this truth everywhere. In old China, philosophers spoke of wu wei, a concept of effortless action. It doesn't mean doing nothing. It means acting in a way that feels natural, like a skilled dancer moving with the music. It's about finding harmony with the world around us, and with ourselves. They believed that when we stop forcing things, when we align with this natural flow, life can unfold with more grace and less struggle. Imagine you're learning a new skill, like playing a musical instrument. At first, it might feel hard, like you're pushing against something. But as you practice, your fingers start to find the notes easily. Your mind starts to understand the rhythm naturally. You're no longer fighting each move. You're flowing with the music. That's finding the path of less resistance in learning. Or consider a crowded hallway at school. Instead of pushing, you might subtly shift, finding open spaces, letting the crowd guide you. You get where you're going with less friction. This ancient wisdom reminds us that strength isn't always about brute force. Sometimes, true power lies in adaptability, in gentleness, in simply letting things be. It's about trusting the natural currents of life, knowing that sometimes the most peaceful way forward is also the most effective. When we stop struggling so much, we create space for things to unfold naturally, and that can bring a deep, quiet sense of peace. It's like the river, always moving, always finding its way, powerfully. The joy of creative expression. Have you ever drawn a picture, hummed a tune, or perhaps even arranged your bedroom just so, and felt a quiet happiness settle within you? It's a feeling that comes from making something, from bringing an idea that lived only in your mind out into the world. This is the joy of creative expression. It's not about being a famous artist or a brilliant inventor. It's about finding your own unique voice and letting it sing, however softly. Think about our ancestors. Long, long ago, they didn't just hunt for food or build shelters. They painted on cave walls, telling stories with shadows and color. They crafted simple instruments from bone and wood, making music that echoed through their valleys. Why? Because deep inside, humans have always felt this urge to create, to leave a mark, to show what they felt or saw. It's part of what makes us human. It connects us to ancient thinkers who understood that the mind isn't just for thinking, it's for dreaming and building too. Here's the thing. Creative expression can be as grand as building a cathedral, or as simple as doodling in the margins of a notebook. Imagine a scientist putting together different ideas, like pieces of a puzzle, to form a new theory. That's a kind of creative act too. Or think about a chef trying out new flavors, mixing spices, in a way no one has before. The real joy isn't just in the final dish or the perfect drawing. It's in the process, in the feeling of possibility when you're making something new. And that's why it matters. This quiet act of creating, whatever it might be, helps us understand ourselves better. It lets us explore our thoughts and feelings, turning them into something tangible. It's a way to feel connected to the world, to add your own small, precious thread to the great tapestry of human experience. It reminds us that even buried ideas can find new life when we choose to make something beautiful, something true, something uniquely ours. The art of true hospitality. Have you ever walked into a new place and instantly felt at ease, like you belonged? That quiet comfort is at the heart of true hospitality. It's more than just being polite or offering a drink. Here's the thing. It's about seeing another person, really seeing them, and creating a space where they can truly relax. It's making someone feel welcome, not just allowed in. It's about offering safety and warmth without expecting anything back. Long ago, in ancient times, hospitality wasn't just a nice thing, it was a sacred rule. Think about travelers journeying through wild lands. They faced dangers. Opening your home, sharing your food, and protecting a stranger was a deep sign of respect. It was about recognizing our shared human journey, understanding that one day you might be that stranger needing help. This idea isn't new. It's a very old teaching about how we connect. Imagine you're the new kid at a school. Everyone is friendly, but then one person walks up, smiles, asks about your day, and invites you to sit with them at lunch. They remember your name. They don't just allow you to be there. They want you there. That's true hospitality. It's making someone feel like they're not just present, but truly valued. It's like a quiet invitation for them to simply be themselves. So, this teaching isn't about fancy meals or big parties. It's an art because it takes empathy and a giving heart. It's about creating a safe harbor, a moment of peace for another soul, and when we offer that, we often find our own hearts feeling a bit warmer too. It's a quiet exchange of humanity, a teaching from deep in the past that still matters today. How we truly welcome others shows how much we truly understand ourselves. How people dealt with conflict peacefully. What if the most powerful way to stop a fight wasn't with a bigger argument, but with something quiet and strong? For centuries, people have grappled with disagreements, from small family spats to grand tribal disputes, but buried within history are countless stories, silent teachings, about how communities chose understanding over anger and connection over division. They show us that finding peace isn't just about avoiding trouble, it's about a deeper way of seeing things. Imagine cultures where listening wasn't just polite, but sacred. Many ancient groups, from indigenous tribes across the Americas to wise thinkers in eastern lands, practiced ways of dealing with problems that focused on healing, not just blame. They called them peace circles or councils of elders. It wasn't about punishing someone for what they did wrong. Instead, it was about mending the hurt, repairing the relationships, and helping everyone involved feel whole again. They understood that every person holds a piece of the truth, like different threads woven into a single tapestry. People would sit together, often in a circle, and each one would share their heart without interruption, truly being heard. The goal wasn't to win an argument, but to find a path for everyone to move forward together, with dignity. Think of it like different musical notes. Each note on its own makes a sound. Sometimes two notes together might clash, making a jarring, loud noise. But a skilled musician knows how to bring those different notes together, not by silencing one, but by finding the right rhythm and blend. They listen to each part, understand its unique sound, and then find the way they can connect and enrich the whole song. That's harmony, and that's what these old ways taught about people. These buried teachings remind us that true strength often lies not in overpowering others, but in quiet empathy and patience. It's about seeing beyond the immediate disagreement to the shared humanity that connects us all. It's a gentle whisper from the past, telling us that understanding isn't a weakness. It's the strongest bridge we can build. And these old lessons offer us a quiet, powerful way to navigate our own disagreements, not by fighting harder, but by listening deeper and finding that common, shared ground where peace can truly bloom. The importance of family stories. Have you ever paused to think about where you really come from? It's not just the town you live in, or your parents. It's so much deeper than that. Every family has a tapestry of stories, woven from the lives of grandparents, great-grandparents, people we'd never met. These aren't just old tales. They're the invisible threads that tie us to the past. Long ago, before books, people sat around fires. They passed down who they were through stories, their history, their wisdom, their mistakes, all told in voices that echoed through generations. This was how they understood themselves and their place in the world. It was how they knew who they were meant to be. Think of a mighty tree, standing tall for hundreds of years. Its strength isn't just in its branches reaching for the sky. It's in its roots, deep down, gripping the earth. Those roots are like our family stories. They feed us, give us stability, help us stand firm when life gets windy. Just as a tree might struggle without strong roots, sometimes we feel lost or unsure if we don't know our own stories. These stories tell us what struggles our ancestors faced, how they survived, what they believed in, and that's why it matters. When we know these stories, we gain a quiet kind of strength. We learn that we are part of a bigger flow, a journey that didn't start with us and won't end with us. It's a reminder that we carry echoes of the past, and those echoes can guide us, even now. The lessons hidden in nature's cycles. Have you ever really watched the world around you? Have you seen how a tiny seed becomes a tall tree, or how winter's cold gives way to spring's soft green? It's easy to miss, but nature is always teaching us something deep about life. Here's the thing, everything in nature moves in cycles. Think about the seasons. Spring arrives, full of new life. Summer blooms, warm and active. Autumn comes, colorful but hinting at what's next. And finally, winter, a time of quiet rest. But even in winter, under the snow, life prepares for spring again. People who lived long ago, before big cities or the internet, they watched these cycles. They saw how the sun rose and set, how the moon grew full and then faded. They knew that nothing stays the same forever, that every ending was just a new beginning. This wasn't just about plants or weather. They saw it in their own lives, too. So, how does this relate to us? Imagine you're feeling down about something. Maybe you didn't do well on a test, or had a big fight with a friend. It can feel like that bad feeling will last forever, right? But it won't. Just like winter doesn't last forever, tough times don't either. Things change. They always do. Nature reminds us that sorrow and joy, challenges and successes are all part of a larger rhythm. It's like the tide coming in and going out, or breathing in and out. There will be moments of darkness, just as there are moments of light, but the dark is never the final word. It's just part of the journey. Understanding this helps us face difficult times with more calm. It reminds us that change is the most constant thing there is, and with change, new possibilities always awaken, just like the tiny bud of spring. Finding your place in the world. Have you ever looked up at the night sky, at all those countless stars, and wondered where you fit in? It's a question people have asked for thousands of years. What's my place in this big, wide world? This feeling, this search, is a deep human experience. It's about figuring out who you are, what makes you feel alive, and where you truly belong. Ancient thinkers, from Greek philosophers to wise elders in indigenous cultures, spent their lives pondering this. They believed that knowing yourself was the first step to knowing your place. They talked about finding your calling or your purpose, not as something you do for a job, but as the unique way you connect with the world and others. It's like each of us is born with a special note to play in a grand, ongoing symphony. If you don't play your note, the music isn't quite complete. Here's the thing, finding your place isn't about fitting into a tiny, pre-made box. Think about a coral reef full of so many different creatures. Each fish, each anemone, each tiny organism has its own space, its own role. The clownfish lives among the sea anemone, the crabs scurry on the sand, and the coral itself provides shelter. They don't all look the same or do the same thing, but together, they make a vibrant, healthy ecosystem. Each piece matters, and its uniqueness adds to the whole. Your uniqueness does the same for the world. So, how do you find your place? It starts with quiet reflection. What makes your heart beat a little faster? What problems do you care about? What activities make you lose track of time? It's not about having all the answers right now, but about staying curious. Your place might change over time, and that's okay. It's a journey of discovery, like an explorer charting a map, one step at a time, finding new paths to belonging and meaning. You are already part of this world. The journey is simply discovering the beautiful way you connect to it all. The power of observation. Have you ever just stopped, really stopped, and looked at something? Not just glanced, but truly let your eyes settle, letting your mind really see. It's a simple thing, this act of seeing deeply, but it holds a quiet power. Observation isn't just about using your eyes. It's about opening your mind to notice, to question, to feel. It's about being present, truly connecting with what's around you, and even what's inside you. It's paying attention to the small things that often get missed in our busy world. Think about people from long ago. Before books and screens, how did they learn about the world? They watched. Ancient philosophers and early scientists spent hours just observing the stars, the tides, the changing seasons. They noticed patterns. They saw how a tiny seed became a mighty tree. They didn't have fancy tools, but they had incredible patience and deep curiosity. And that's how so much ancient wisdom was born, from just watching. They found truths buried right there, in plain sight. Consider a time you watched a little ant carrying something much bigger than itself. You didn't just see an ant. You might have noticed its determination, its tiny legs working, the path it took. Or maybe you watched a cloud drift by, slowly changing shape, becoming a different picture in the sky. When you truly observe, you notice how that cloud slowly transforms, seeing the subtle shades of gray or white. You might even feel a sense of calm. Here's the thing, it's not just about the ant or the cloud, it's about what you learn from watching them. This quiet practice, this power of deep observation, can change how you experience everything. It helps you see beyond the surface. It helps you understand things better, whether it's a person's mood, a science idea, or just the gentle sway of a tree in the wind. And that's why it matters. When you really observe, you don't just see the world. You begin to understand its quiet whispers, its hidden teachings. You find wonder in the ordinary. And in that wonder, you find a deeper connection to life itself. The beauty of different views. Have you ever looked at something beautiful, like a tall, old tree, and wondered how someone else might see it? You might notice the rough bark, how sunlight filters through the leaves. Your friend might see the strong roots, or hear the quiet rustle of birds. Are either of you wrong? No, you're just seeing different parts of the same amazing truth. This is the quiet power of different views. It's not about who is right and who is wrong. It's about understanding that truth can be like a vast landscape. No single person sees every hill or every stream all at once. We each stand on our own patch, seeing what's closest to us. Throughout history, wise thinkers understood this. In ancient Greece, philosophers debated ideas not to win, but to build a bigger picture. They knew that by sharing unique viewpoints, they could all see more completely. Each person's idea was a valuable brushstroke on a giant canvas. Many colors make a painting vibrant and deep. Think of it like a puzzle. Each piece is unique, strange on its own, but when you put them together, they form a whole picture. Your view is one piece. My view is another. So, when someone sees the world differently, pause. Don't rush to correct them. Instead, listen. Try to stand where they stand, even for a moment. Often their unique angle holds a piece of truth you haven't seen. And together, those pieces create a richer understanding of everything. It's like adding new colors to your own palette, making your world much brighter. The simple truth of being honest. Have you ever felt that quiet, strange feeling when something isn't quite right? Maybe you said something you didn't mean, or held back a truth that felt too big to share. That feeling is often the simple weight of dishonesty, not just on others, but on ourselves. Here's the thing about honesty. It's not just about telling the truth. It's about living in truth. Thinkers from long, long ago, like the ancient Greek philosopher Socrates, believed that knowing yourself and being true to that self was the most important thing. They taught that when you're honest, you build a strong inner foundation, like a solid house. Without it, everything feels shaky. Imagine you're building a tower out of blocks. If you use perfectly shaped, solid blocks, the tower stands tall and straight. But if you secretly swap some for wobbly, broken ones, even if they look okay from the outside for a bit, the tower will eventually lean, then wobble, and maybe even fall. That's a bit like lying. Even small lies can create weak spots in your life, or in your relationships with people. They might seem harmless at first, like a tiny crack, but over time, they can spread. This can help you understand why being truly honest, not just with your words but with your actions, brings a kind of deep calm. It's like when a cloudy sky clears after a storm. The air feels fresh, and everything looks bright. When you choose honesty, you shed that heavy, confusing fog, and that's why it matters. It leaves you feeling lighter, more genuine, and truly free. The forgotten art of practical problem solving. Have you ever faced a problem, not from a textbook, but a real-life kind of puzzle? Maybe your bike chain kept slipping, or a recipe wouldn't turn out right. It's easy to feel stuck, to wish for an easy answer. But here's the thing. Buried in history is a quiet teaching about how we used to approach such moments. It's about the forgotten art of practical problem solving. Long ago, before apps and instruction manuals, people learned by doing. If a roof leaked, they didn't wish it away. They observed the rain, felt the wood, and tried different ways to patch it. If a tool broke, they didn't toss it. They examined the pieces, thought about why it failed, and patiently worked to fix it. This wasn't just about survival, it was a deep connection to the world. A dance with challenges. Think about a time when you've had to really figure something out. Maybe a small, simple thing, like trying to get a tangled kite string free from a tree branch without climbing too high. You might try pulling it gently, shaking the branch, or using a stick. You observe, you try, you adjust. You don't have a clear plan, but you keep moving forward, learning with each small step. The tree doesn't care about your feelings, it just waits for a solution. This isn't just about fixing things. It's about how our minds grow when we engage with the physical world, using our hands and intuition alongside our thoughts. It's a way of thinking that asks us to slow down, to notice, to be patient with the process, and that's why it matters. In this quiet act of wrestling with a real problem, we don't just solve it, we build a quiet strength within ourselves, a belief that we can face what comes. It reminds us that often, the answers aren't given, but found, piece by patient piece. How to truly see another person. Have you ever looked at someone, really looked at them, and wondered what lies beneath the surface? It's easy to see a person's height, or the color of their shirt, or how they act in class. But here's the thing, truly seeing another person goes much deeper than what your eyes can immediately pick up. It's about seeing past the labels, past the first impressions, and even past the words they say. Think of it this way, for thousands of years, wise people have talked about looking deeper. Ancient Greek philosophers, like Plato, hinted that we often only see shadows of reality. They meant we often just see the outside, the easy parts, instead of the real person standing in the light. This idea isn't just old philosophy. It's a timeless whisper telling us to slow down and notice more. It's understanding that every person carries an entire world inside them with memories, hopes, fears, and dreams. Imagine an iceberg. When you see it in the ocean, you only see a tiny bit poking out of the water, but below, hidden, is a massive, complex structure, much bigger than what's visible. People are a lot like that. We only show a small part of ourselves to the world. The rest, our quiet thoughts, experiences that shaped us, our feelings, that's all beneath the surface. For example, maybe you have a classmate who seems quiet or always looks serious. Instead of just thinking they're moody, try to remember that they have their own iceberg. Maybe they're thinking deeply about something, or just having a challenging day you know nothing about. So, how do we see this hidden part? It begins with kindness and curiosity. It's about listening not just to words, but to the feelings behind them. It's about offering empathy, which means trying to feel what another person might be feeling. When we take the time to truly see another person, we don't just understand them better, we also grow ourselves. We open our hearts to a richer, more connected world. And that's how we find the real treasure buried beneath the everyday. The wisdom of moving slowly. Have you ever felt like the world is spinning a little too fast? Like you're constantly trying to keep up, but always a step behind? It's easy to believe that speed is the only path to success, that busy equals important. But here's the thing, some of the deepest truths, the most important lessons we can learn, are found when we deliberately choose to slow down. We live in a world that praises quickness, fast internet, instant answers, quick solutions. But true wisdom, the kind that settles deep within your spirit, often takes time to grow, much like an ancient tree. It's not something you can simply download or grab in a hurry. For centuries, thinkers and teachers across many cultures understood this. Ancient philosophers, like the Stoics in Greece, and wise elders, all emphasized the power of patience and reflection. They knew that rushing often meant missing the subtle beauty in life, overlooking important details, and failing to truly connect. They believed that by taking our time, we could see more clearly and understand things in a way that frantic hurriedness simply doesn't allow. Consider how a tiny seed becomes a magnificent oak tree. It doesn't rush its growth. It rests, slowly absorbs nutrients, pushes its roots deeper, and patiently reaches for sunlight. This slow, steady process builds incredible strength. Or think about trying to truly understand a complex idea in a book, or learning a challenging piece of music. You can't just grasp it perfectly right away. You read the lines again, or practice the notes slowly, understanding each part before you speed up. That slow, focused effort isn't wasted time. It's the solid foundation for real, lasting understanding. Your brain needs that quiet space, that gentle pace, to build strong connections and truly grasp something. And that's why this ancient teaching matters so much today. When we choose to embrace the wisdom of moving slowly, we allow ourselves to truly experience moments, to listen more carefully to others, and to understand ourselves better. It's not about being lazy, it's about being deliberate and mindful. It's about choosing true presence over a frantic pace. In that quiet slowness, we find a stillness where deeper meaning can unfold and true learning can take root. It's a forgotten teaching that reminds us, sometimes the most profound way to understand the world and yourself is to simply take your time. The value of manual labor. Have you ever stopped to think about what it really means to build something with your own hands? To feel the rough wood, the cool metal, or the soil between your fingers? It's more than just getting a job done. There's a quiet power in manual labor, a teaching buried deep within the effort itself. For a long time, people saw this work as less important, perhaps just for those who couldn't use their minds. But here's the thing. History quietly whispers a different truth. Ancient thinkers, even philosophers, understood that working with your hands wasn't just about survival. It was about shaping the world and shaping yourself. Think of ancient farmers who built a deep relationship with the land, or a craftsperson, shaping clay or wood, pouring their focus and patience into making something. This kind of work connects your body to your mind in a way that's truly special. Imagine trying to learn to play a musical instrument. You can read all the books you want about chords and melodies, but until your fingers actually touch the strings, until your muscles learn the movements, the music won't come alive. It's in that physical struggle, that repetition, that something clicks inside you. You're not just understanding a concept, you are embodying it. So, when you lift something heavy, fix something broken, or tend a garden, you're not just using your strength, you are connecting with a deep human heritage. You are learning patience, perseverance, and the quiet satisfaction of seeing something tangible created through your own effort. And that's why it matters. It teaches a quiet respect for the world, and for what human hands can accomplish, one mindful action at a time. It grounds you, showing the real, touchable results of your hard work. The teachings of the sky at night. Have you ever just stepped outside at night and really looked up? Not just a quick glance, but truly let your eyes wander across the darkness, dotted with a million tiny lights. It's a feeling, isn't it? A feeling of being incredibly small, but also part of something so huge. For thousands of years, people have looked at the night sky and found deep meaning there. Before bright city lights, the stars were so much clearer. They guided sailors across oceans and told farmers when to plant their crops. They inspired countless stories and myths in every culture. Ancient groups, from the Egyptians to Native Americans, saw patterns in the stars. They connected these patterns to their gods and the ongoing cycles of life and death. These people knew the universe was enormous and their place in it was tiny, but they also felt strongly connected to its steady rhythms. They watched the seasons change, the moon and sun follow their paths, and understood that everything has a beginning, an end, and then a new beginning. Here's the thing. When you look at a star, you're not seeing it exactly as it is right now. You're seeing light that left that star hundreds or even thousands of years ago. It's like getting a message from a very old time. Think about looking at an old photo of your great-grandparents. You're seeing a moment from long ago, and it makes you think about all the people who came before you. You are a small piece of a much longer story. The stars are like that. They remind us that our own lives are short, yes, but we are part of something so much bigger, so much older. So, the next time you look up, remember those twinkling lights are like quiet voices telling ancient secrets. They tell us about time, about our place in the world, and about the calm wonder of just being here in this enormous universe, and that can bring a peaceful feeling. The connection between all things. Have you ever looked around and felt like everything is somehow linked? Like one tiny event can send ripples across the whole world, touching things you never expected. This deep feeling, this idea that everything is connected, is one of those old, quiet teachings, buried by history, yet always there. Many ancient cultures, from different corners of the earth, held this truth close. Imagine a vast, invisible web, stretching out forever. Every person, every animal, every tree, every tiny grain of sand, they're all like little knots on this same giant web. And when one knot moves, even a little, the entire web shivers. This wasn't just a poetic idea. Ancient philosophers in Greece, and wise elders of indigenous tribes, often spoke of this. They believed that hurting one part of nature, or even one person, meant hurting yourself and the whole delicate balance. Here's the thing. You can see this connection in your own life every day. Think about a school play. One actor forgets their line. That small slip can confuse another actor. Maybe the music skips, and suddenly the scene feels different. That created a ripple effect. Or, consider nature. A single raindrop joins streams, then rivers, and finally the ocean. Our breath, the air we exhale, is taken in by plants, which then give us oxygen. We are literally breathing the world in and out. Understanding this deep connection, truly feeling it, can change how you see your own place. Your actions, big or small, truly matter. They don't just affect you, they reach out, touching the silent, complex dance of everything around you. And that's a powerful thought to carry. We are all part of one grand, amazing story, woven together, always. The art of deep breathing, ancient compav. You ever really noticed your breath? It's something we do every single second, without even thinking. But what if there was a hidden power in it, a calm you could find just by paying attention? Long Cliff people knew this secret. They understood that breathing wasn't just about keeping us alive. It was a way to settle the mind, to find peace even when the world felt loud and rushed. Think of your mind like a busy street, full of fast cars and noise. When you take a few deep breaths, it's like a traffic cop steps out and starts slowing everything down. You breathe in slowly, deeply, filling your lungs like a balloon. Then, you let it out even more slowly, feeling your chest soften. It's not just air moving. It's a quiet signal to your body and your brain that everything is okay. Ancient teachers from distant lands and times practiced this. They sat in quiet places, focusing on each inhale and exhale. They saw breath as a connection to something deeper, a steady rhythm that could quiet anxieties and sharpen focus. They called it life force, or energy. Here's the thing, this isn't magic, it's a simple truth. When you breathe slowly, your heart rate calms, muscles relax, and your brain gets a clearer signal. It's like when your phone gets a good signal, and everything works smoothly. So this simple teaching, so powerful, got buried under all the noise of busy modern life. We rush from one thing to the next, often holding our breath without even knowing it. But the ancient calm is still there, waiting. It's a gentle reminder that peace isn't always something you have to search far for. Sometimes, it's just a slow, deep breath away, always with you, always ready to help you find your quiet center. It's a small, strong anchor in a constantly moving world. Why we need ceremony and ritual? Have you ever stopped to think about why some moments feel so much bigger than others? Why do we light candles on a cake, or wear special clothes for a big event? Here's the thing, we do these things, these ceremonies and rituals, because they help us mark time. They help us understand the important parts of our lives, the changes and the big feelings that come with them. For thousands of years, people have created rituals. Long ago, before science could explain everything, people watched the sun rise and set, the seasons change, and life begin and end. They needed ways to make sense of the world. So, they created shared actions, dances, songs, specific greetings that gave meaning to their lives and the vastness around them. These weren't just random acts. They were deeply felt ways to connect with each other and with something larger than themselves. They helped them remember important lessons and feel safe together. Think about something simple, like the ritual of going to bed. Maybe you always read a book, or your parents tuck you in a certain way. That quiet, repeating action isn't just about sleeping. It's a small ceremony. It tells your mind and body that the day is done, that it's time to rest, and that you are safe. It creates a sense of order and peace. Or consider a team huddle before a game. It's a quick ritual that brings everyone together, focuses their energy, and reminds them they are a unit. It solidifies their purpose. So, ceremonies and rituals aren't just old traditions, they are tools. They help us process joy, sadness, beginnings, and endings. They help us belong. They whisper to our souls that certain moments matter, and that we are not alone in experiencing them. They are the quiet anchors that hold our memories and our communities together, making the invisible feelings of life feel real and shared. The old ways of being patient. Have you ever felt that tight, restless feeling, wanting everything to happen right now? It's a common rush, isn't it? But imagine a time, long ago, when now wasn't a constant whisper. People didn't just understand patience. They lived it like the air they breathed. It wasn't about waiting for a download, but for seasons to shift, for a seed to become food, for a child to quietly grow. Patience was a fundamental rhythm of life, deeply felt and truly understood. Think of ancient farmers gazing at a tiny sprout. They knew a harvest wouldn't happen overnight. They understood the slow, silent work of the earth. Philosophers, too, spoke of patience as a quiet strength, a wisdom that saw the long arc of time. They believed true growth, whether of a plant or a person, needed gentle time, not hurried pushing. It was about trusting the natural process, letting things simply unfold. This was an inner stillness, a calm heart in a world that moved slowly. Here's an example. Think about learning to play a musical instrument, like a guitar. You don't pick it up one day and play a masterpiece. There are hours of clumsy chords, notes that just don't sound right. You have to practice, day after day, sometimes for months, just to get one song to sound smooth. That's patience. It's not waiting for skill to magically appear, but showing up, doing the small, steady work. Each little effort builds something bigger. The progress is slow, almost invisible, but then, you look back and see how far you've come. Perhaps the old ways teach us that patience isn't just about waiting, it's about presence. It's about being fully there for the slow unfolding, for the quiet moments of growth. It's about understanding that some of life's most beautiful things aren't rushed into being, but gently, lovingly, allowed to become. And maybe, truly understanding this can bring a surprising calm to our own fast-moving lives. The importance of saying thank you. Have you ever stopped to really think about the words thank you? They seem so small, so simple, just two ordinary words we say, almost without thinking. But what if they hold a power far deeper than we usually imagine? What if they are a whisper from an ancient wisdom, a tiny key to something truly important? For centuries, across every culture, people have found ways to express thanks. It's not just about good manners, it's about seeing. When you say thank you, you are not just acknowledging a gift or a favor, you are acknowledging another person's presence. You are noticing their effort, their kindness, their simple act of being. It's like a soft spotlight shines on them, even for just a moment. Think about a small moment from your own day. Maybe someone held a door open for you, or a friend offered to share their notes, or a bus driver waited an extra second. When you offer a sincere thank you in return, it's like a tiny, invisible bridge is built. You've sent a bit of warmth, a small spark of connection, from your heart to theirs. And here's the thing, that spark doesn't just warm them, it warms you too. It reminds you that you are part of something bigger, a web of countless daily interactions. This simple act, this quiet acknowledgement, can change the air around you. It can lift a spirit, brighten a moment, and create a ripple of kindness that spreads outwards. It's a way of saying, I see you, your effort matters, and I am grateful. In a world that often rushes by, taking things for granted, choosing to pause and offer thanks is a powerful act. It reminds us of the delicate, beautiful threads that connect us all. The courage to be yourself. Have you ever felt a quiet tug, a feeling deep inside that you're not quite matching what the world expects of you? This silent pull can make us wonder if we should change, just to fit in. But buried in ancient wisdom, and in the quiet understanding of many cultures, is a teaching about something far more brave, the courage to be yourself. It's about finding that true self, that core of who you really are, and letting it shine, even when it feels scary or different. For ages, thinkers and quiet rebels have explored this idea. Philosophers like Socrates, long ago in ancient Greece, simply said, know thyself. They understood that trying to be someone else might seem easier for a moment, but real strength and peace come from being authentic, from truly understanding and accepting who you are. Think about a forest. Every tree stands tall, reaching for the sun. But no two trees are exactly alike. One might twist in a unique way, another might grow a bit shorter, or have different leaves. But each one contributes to the forest's beauty simply by being itself. It doesn't try to be another tree, it just is. And that unique shape, that individual story, makes the whole forest richer. This teaching reminds us that your unique self, with all its quirks and dreams, is exactly enough. Sometimes, the greatest bravery isn't in fighting a loud battle, but in quietly choosing to embrace your own truth. When you do, you don't just find a calm peace for yourself, you also quietly give others permission to be truly themselves. And that, in its own gentle way, can slowly shift the world, one brave heart at a time, towards a place where everyone feels safe to simply be. How cultures learned from each other. Have you ever wondered how people, living in different places, came to share ideas that changed their world? It's a quiet mystery, isn't it? It wasn't just about one person discovering something amazing. Instead, ideas moved from one heart to another, one village to the next, often without people even realizing it. Think about the ancient trade routes, like the Silk Road. We often picture caravans laden with spices or silk. But here's the thing, Alongside those goods, something invisible traveled too. Stories moved, beliefs traveled. New ways of counting or understanding the stars spread from one land to another. Think of a baker using Egyptian yeast, or a scholar reading Greek scrolls. An artist might see patterns from Persia. These weren't always easy exchanges, and cultures sometimes clashed. But even then, fragments of understanding, new ways of seeing the world, would slip through. It's like how a bird carries seeds from one garden to another, letting new plants grow where they weren't before. This reminds me of a school group project. Everyone in your group has different strengths. Someone is great at drawing, someone else at writing, another at speaking. When you put all those skills together, the project becomes something richer, something unique that none of you could have created alone. That's how cultures learn. They share their unique gifts, their beliefs, their tools, their art, and that's why it matters. It teaches us that our knowledge, our art, our understanding of the world isn't just one straight line. It's a tangled, beautiful web. What we know today is built on quiet lessons passed down through generations from people who never even met. It reminds us that we are all connected in this vast human story, threads weaving together to make a stronger, more colorful fabric. This is a gentle reminder of our shared journey, the power of a shared smile. Have you ever really stopped to think about a smile? Not just a quick grin, but a deep, genuine smile that reaches the eyes. It's one of the simplest things we do, a curve of the lips, yet it holds a quiet, powerful magic. For centuries, wisdom from different cultures has pointed to the strength of connection, of how we relate to each other. And here's the thing, a smile is often the very first thread in that connection, an invitation to understanding. Imagine walking past someone you don't know, maybe in the busy school hallway or on a crowded street. You catch their eye, and they offer you a real, gentle smile, one that feels truly meant for you. Think about what happens inside you. Maybe a little tension eases, a tiny spark of warmth flickers. This isn't just random. Our brains are actually wired for this kind of connection. It's a bit like when you hear laughter and find yourself smiling, even if you don't know why. Our minds have a way of mirroring the feelings we see in others, creating a quiet, unspoken understanding. A shared smile can act like a bridge, instantly, closing the space between two people, even if only for a second, making the world feel a little smaller. This small act carries a message older than words. I see you, I acknowledge you, and for this moment, we share a little piece of kindness. It's a silent offering of peace. In a world that often feels fast and complicated, a shared smile is a gentle reminder of our shared humanity. It's a small ripple that can grow into a wave, proving that sometimes the most profound teachings aren't found in ancient books, but in the simplest, most human gestures we pass between us every day. It reminds us that even a brief, silent moment of connection can make the world feel a little bit brighter. The echoes of lost wisdom. Have you ever wondered what stories the wind could tell, if only we knew how to listen? Imagine all the clever ideas, the deep thoughts, and the simple truths that people learned over thousands of years. But what if many of those important teachings didn't make it to us? Throughout history, humans have built amazing things and figured out complex problems. Ancient cities stood tall, filled with brilliant minds. People shared wisdom around campfires, wrote it on scrolls, or carved it into stone. But then, things changed. Empires crumbled, libraries burned. Sometimes, a whole way of life just faded away, taking its understanding with it. We call these the echoes of lost wisdom. They are not loud shouts, but faint whispers from the past. Hints of knowledge that once guided people, but are now mostly forgotten. It's a bit like when you learn a really cool trick on your skateboard, or master a difficult guitar chord. You practice it every day, and it feels like you'll never forget. But then, maybe you stop skating for a few years, or put the guitar down. When you pick it up again, the muscle memory is gone, and the specific way you moved your hands or balanced, your body is lost. You might remember that you knew it, but not how you knew it. That lost skill is an echo. Here's the thing. The world has seen countless tricks or chords of understanding about how to live peacefully, how to understand the stars, or how to heal with plants. These weren't just facts. They were ways of seeing the world, passed down from generation to generation. But for many reasons, wars, natural disasters, or simply people forgetting to teach the next generation, a lot of that rich learning disappeared. So, we walk through a world that holds fragments of these forgotten ideas. Maybe a strange symbol on an old ruin, a line in a very old book that doesn't quite make sense anymore, or even a story that feels like it's missing a piece. We don't always know what they meant, or what larger wisdom they were a part of. But these echoes, these quiet reminders, gently ask us to wonder, what did they know, and what can we still learn, even from the silence? Finding our way back to simple truths. Have you ever felt like the world is just too noisy sometimes? Like there's so much happening, so many ideas, so many screens, that it's hard to hear your own thoughts. It's like a big, busy city, where bright lights and loud sounds hide something else. Sometimes, the clearest and most important truths get lost in all that noise. History, with all its layers, can do the same thing. It can bury simple, powerful ideas under centuries of change and new ways of thinking. Think about the first people who wondered about life long ago. They didn't have complicated books or giant cities. They looked at the sun rising, felt the earth, and saw the stars. From these simple things, they found basic, deep ideas about how to live. Ideas about being kind, sharing, respecting nature, or finding calm inside. These weren't hard lessons. They were clear, like fresh water. But as societies grew, as empires rose and fell, as knowledge became complex, these simple truths sometimes got tangled up or pushed aside. Imagine trying to see stars in a big city. So many bright lights from buildings and cars. The sky looks dull. But if you go far away, to a quiet, dark place, suddenly the night sky explodes with stars. You never knew they were there. They were always there, shining. You just couldn't see them because of all the light. Finding our way back to simple truths is a bit like that. It's about turning down the noise. It's about quietly looking for what feels truly right and good, not what's flashy or popular. Maybe it's the peace you feel helping someone, or the calm from sitting quietly. These simple feelings, these small moments, are often where the big, important truths have been hiding. They are still here, waiting for us to notice them. And when we do, the world starts to make a little more sense.